All right, and we're live. How's it going, everyone?
Hello.
We're back.
Hello, hello.
All right. What's it called again? Oh, hope you guys are having a good Saturday or Sunday, wherever you guys may be. But we're back. Welcome back to the Project Eggroll podcast. My name is Phil, and we have Grae, and today we have a guest joining us. We have Dave. Hey, Dave, how's it going?
It's going well. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course, of course. So,
Sure.
for the people who are who don't know who you are, since this is the first time you're here, who are you, and what do you do? If you want to go ahead and divulge that, but
Sure.
introduce yourself.
My name is Dave Scarpitti, and I've been working in animation for about 25 years. Mostly movies, but I've been doing TV for like the last 5 years. I helped develop Rick and Morty from season one, created all the special effects, the way
Wow.
that they look on the show. And now I've done Disney movies, and now I'm working over at Bento Box, working on Bob's Burger, The Great North, Central Park, and having a great old time. I press a lot of buttons all day.
Man, that is a heck of a resume for sure. If for real. So if you guys actually like Google or like search Dave's name in like IMDb, he has like a his resume is pretty extensive.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, but so today we're gonna be let's go ahead and dive right into it. First and foremost, since this is the last thing I've seen, we're gonna talk about the Rings of Power episode 6. And I know Dave, you are like absolutely like like against, you like, I'm not gonna see it, right?
Well, here's what I'm thinking on this. I'm hoping that my hope, but I'm sure it's not going to happen, is it's going to be a slow burn, and that the arrogant Galadriel will eventually learn humility towards the end of the season and actually has some type of hero's arc. I'm big on
Mhm.
Joseph Campbell's works, and this thing has nothing about the hero's journey or anything like that. It's just kind of I will admit I watched most of one episode and just couldn't take it anymore. It just felt like just random
Yeah.
scenes that four different writers kind of came together and said, "Okay, I need 15 minutes. How much time do you need on the episode? I need 20 minutes." And then they just kind of randomly interlaced everything with no glue holding anything together. So
Mhm.
I kind of stopped, and I'm hoping by the time they're done, the acclaim will go up and it will be, proclaimed that, oh, it is actually a good show. She had some development. She had an actual story arc. She's not just, God with a sword, killing an ice troll in 6 seconds without looking at it. So I can dream. So I'm going to stay mostly out of this discussion just because I don't have any relevant knowledge on it.
All right, cool. All right, where do we begin? So, Gray, what did you think about episode 6?
uh Nothing, not much has changed. It's still the same thing. Bronwyn's for some reason she's the hero. For even though it's literally everyone else who did the heavy lifting in allegedly fighting the orcs.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's the first thing. It's like so they started off with Adar making the speech like, okay, blah 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 blah, we're gonna invade the tower, we're gonna invade the watchtower where Arondir, Bronwyn, and everyone else are.
Mhm.
Then when they got there, apparently the villagers were not there. They were wondering, the orcs were wondering, where are they? Where are they? Go look for them. Turns out it was a trap. It was a trap of sorts. Arondir shoots the shoot they designed the mechanism in such a way that the torch in the watchtower falls down on them. Then
Mhm.
Aradir flees from the tower because he can't take them all on by himself. Then from a short distance, the villagers were like cheering, yeah, instead of just running away. It's like, why didn't they just run away outright? Why
Mhm.
did they make? I'm not sure why they made their stand. What do a bunch of villagers have against an army of orcs? I I mean, it would have been logical for them to run to cities where there's an actual army rather than staying in a nearby village and trying to defend themselves. That's one.
Mhm.
Then what else? What else was there? So okay. So mainly in Galadriel's side is still just them sailing to the Southlands to fight Adar apparently. Then yeah, so Arondir and Bronwyn, they actually made out already. Then Theo is assigned in the tavern. Apparently, he finds out where the hilt of the sword is hidden, even though Arondir didn't disclose to anyone where he hid it.
He just knows.
Yeah, he
just
has the
really smart.
nose. Yeah, a lot of things happened here. Okay, a lot of not good things happen here.
It's for me. Okay, like at the beginning, yes, like yeah, you see like them attacking it, and it's like yeah, it's like oh, it's basically like freaking Akbar is a trap, right? And he sets up this contraption to like get. I'm not sure how many orcs like he ends up killing with that contraption, but um it's like so they all just like flee and they're like oh cool, and then the next day, since like they're like these albino orcs are afraid of sun, we're gonna build this like small village really quick, right? Like we're gonna go ahead and build this village, and then yeah, we're just gonna hide out here instead of running, even though this village is probably not that far. And
and I think
dumb.
it's the same village, right? It's the same village where they got the food.
Yeah, so they went back. Wait, so if this is so if that's the case, then they just reinforced their crappy ass village where they already know where the village is because there's like we've seen like at least 2 orcs show up in this location already,
Yes,
right?
exactly.
And we even have like in a couple episodes ago, we even see Theo going back to that village. So like, why would you not go to a different village? It's like, you know what? We're just gonna go back to the location where they already know we're gonna end up going. It's such a dumb. It's. I'm so close to using the R word, but it's so dumb, right? It's like lazy writing, and it's like oh you just go back over here because it's easy, and it's stupid. I think that boat scene was sort of like Isildur's like talking, and then he's looking out, and then his father comes in
Oh
with the boob
yeah.
armor, and it's literally like it's like yo, this is my son, and then I don't know, like it just seems that this all feels like fan fiction, right?
Yeah.
Like this all feels like fan fiction where like I don't really care about any of the characters. Like we already know what's it called, like Gil-galad, Elendil, Isildur are the ones who sort of, and Elrond is supposed to lead the charge, and for me I'm just like okay, in this one instead we're gonna make Galadriel the badass, and then of course they have to use a bunch of shit that they already used in the what's it called again in the movies. Like, hey, remember that one part where what's it called, Arwen whispers into the horse and then the horse goes faster. It's like, yeah, we're gonna put that in there, remember that, right? And then like all these other shit that we remember from the movies that we really like, was like we're just gonna repurpose them, recycle them. This is where like it's sort of like, why do you not have any more creative writing instead of it's always going to recycle stuff that we know that the fans like, hey, remember this, like straight up member berries and stuff. It's pretty dumb. It's pretty
As
dumb.
someone who's not watching it, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
So does
Yeah,
it
sure.
feel like the stories have a coherent tie to them and that they're pushing an actual plot forward? Or is it just, as I said, from the little bit I watched it, it just felt like 4 different writing groups writing story chunks that, hey, this would be a cool looking scene, this would be a cool looking scene, this would be a cool looking scene, but it's not actually pushing an entire plot forward. Is it getting more, we have a plot, we have a goal, the final episode, does it feel like we're going to a goal in that? Or is it just random stuff just on the screen because it's pretty pixels?
In my opinion, we have 4 of the stories, right? We have 4 stories, right? We have the Durin, Elrond, and then we have the Harfoots, Galadriel, and then the Bronwyn, Erondir.
And
So
Arondir,
and
yes.
yeah, Erondir and Galadriel's merge right now. So right now there's 3. So that story is pushed forward. The other ones is more like, oh, who is this person that we know is Gandalf? And then you have another one's like, oh, this is Mithril, and then give me the meat, give it to me raw.
Give it to us or we will die by spring.
So it's just like it's like, okay, we have the goal of explaining Mithril, let's create a sequence around that.
Mm-hmm.
Is that kind of what they're doing, rather than, they had, on their whiteboard, they had a bunch of, tags written out okay, we have to do something to explain this. We have to do something to explain this, rather than here's our flow through the entire season. That's what it sounds like. It's becoming from everything I'm hearing.
Yeah, I would say so. What's your take, Grae?
Yeah, I think they're putting their own problems in it to even though they have a wealth of source material to base it on instead that were much better written, like the mithril in the last episode. Not this one we're talking about, the one previous to that. They apparently were introduced. Oh no, that was episode 4 where the mithril was introduced. But the dynamic they're going through for episode 5 is that the elves already somehow knew that the dwarves had mithril in their minds, and they need it. Apparently, they need it so that they could survive, or else they will lose their immortality and eventually die. So, what the problem they apparently built up is that Gil-galad was using Elrond to as a means to reach out to the dwarves to somehow try to get the mithril from them. So like they made a problem where the dwarves probably wouldn't want to share it at first. Then the elves trying to grab the mithril. As far as I know, I don't think that's in the books because I I could be wrong, but I think as far as I know, the elves and dwarves kind of help them out already without having the kind of tension or the problems that this series is setting it out to be. So it's like they're creating their own unnecessary problems just so it feels like it's filler to fill up to provide more content, even though it's not good for each of the episodes. That's what it feels like to me.
Sounds reasonable.
Yeah, but it's so the and then moving forward for this episode, I I do have one question, right? So why if what's it called again? Muriel is supposed to be like the queen regent, and she's like supposed to be commanding. Why is she actually physically there in the Southlands? Like if she, if she's gone and she's the only one that's basically still mentally sane to rule what's it called again? God, Numenor. Like why is she here? And it's like we have the other older dude. I forgot his name already, right? We have the older dude, the one who looks like
Chancellor,
Moses. Yeah,
the
he looks
Chancellor,
like Moses, and he's basically like, okay, cool, I'm gonna be, maybe temporarily in charge, but like, why does she need to be there? It's so weird, It's like I don't think she needs to be in the Southlands.
yeah, that's the thing. Also, good thing you brought that up. I think I just was Gary or it was as at Hughes baby. Like, Muriel never got to rule Numenor. That's a
Oh,
mind blow.
okay.
She never got. She was supposedly never supposed to be queen. Like, she was about to be a regent, but somewhere along the line, not long after, there were some more political movements at play that ended her not being the regent. So in actuality, she never got to rule Numenor. So it's here she's the actual queen, which makes it even more baffling. So like they're really making their own spin on it. That's not really sticking the landing. They're making it even worse. I mean, yeah, you've got good source material already, but they
Mhm.
wanted to insert their own identity politics because a woman of color to be the ruling queen of a particular nation. That's what they're going for.
Yeah, man, it sort of feels like they're rushing it. You know how it's like DC is to Marvel is how, like, okay, Marvel took several years to set up what they did, and then when it came together, you're like, okay, this is worth the wait, and this makes sense. Versus DC rushed it. Now, in sort of like mirroring contrast, is like Jeff Bezos wants this to be the next Game of Thrones, which is not going to happen. And then we noticed, I believe, Dave, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe it's season 7 where all the rulers of Westeros were all female,
I
right?
believe so. Yeah, it's
So
been a while.
that was earned, in my opinion. Like they
Mhm.
worked up to it. Like
Yeah.
we have you have the, what's it called again? Daenerys. You have the person from, God, what's her name? I forgot her name already, but she's from Dorne. And then you have the older lady, and you have Cersei, right? All of them earn their place in terms of getting the power. Versus this one, they're like, oh, let's make everyone girl boss, right? We have Bronwyn, and then who's supposed to be like better than some of the knights from Numenor, and then you have Galadriel, warrior Galadriel, and then with Muriel, who's literally just like, hey, Bronwyn, you did a good job. It's like you're a queen, let's go ahead and slay and stuff. And that's how it felt when what's it called again? When Muriel basically came, like she basically sat up in like on top of the hill, just basically monitoring the entire battle. And she was like, yes, right. Usually maybe the captain doesn't do anything or the queen doesn't do anything. Maybe she doesn't know how to fight. But when the whole battle was over, she goes down there and is like, Bronwyn, good job. That's all she does.
Yeah. You know what's the funniest thing about that scene? Whatever happened to the arrow that got pierced behind her?
Nothing. It's plot armor.
she got hit. She got struck by an arrow from behind, and it protruded her body. It's like that was like literally just a few hours ago. And when she met the Queen Regent, it's like nothing happened. What happened to that arrow?
She lost so much blood. Like, I'm okay. Clearly, there's a crap ton of blood that's literally oozing out, and I believe she got shot like right below the collarbone, right below that area, maybe near the neck area. Like I'm like that's where a lot of the veins rush through your to your brain. So I'm like, yeah, you lost a crap ton of blood, of course. And then I was watching with my wife, and then we're like, she's like, is she gonna die? I was like, no, she's not. She is not gonna die. They're not gonna kill her off. We're gonna need someone who represents a strong female that represents the Southlands. But now it's actually that a representation of the Southland goes towards Sauron. Halbrand, and it's just it's pretty bad. I hate that. There's one thing that I literally laughed out loud because I thought it was so ridiculous. Is when I guess I think they were either trying to throw like a spear or a javelin at Galadriel, or they're trying to like shoot her down with an arrow, and she does this weird. All of a sudden, she just flips backwards. Like
the backflip, the backflip.
Yeah,
I saw that scene. Oh my god!
And it completely, and she does it twice, which is
stupid.
Like,
twice. She does it twice.
Okay, yes, we know you. We know you're strong. All right, and I mentioned this in the earlier stream, a couple streams ago. I'm like, I 100% guarantee you that they're gonna ship Galadriel with Sauron, and it seems like that's what they're doing.
Yeah. It's there's only that one scene after the battle, right? Like there, I forgot what they said, but it's like, they were sitting on the rock. There was like, they were like wrapping things up. Like there was this. I forgot. It was kind of forgettable. That's why I forgot. Galadriel was kind of saying like, I felt that way too. And then they were looking each other eye to eye. It's like, yeah, it's looking that way. Until they were interrupted by the soldier. Halbrand, Queen Muriel wants to see you. And then Halbrand goes off. But they're setting it up to be that way. At least to a certain degree.
Another thing that was I thought it was dumb too was what's it called again? You see Adar running away, right? Fleeing after the Numenorian soldiers came. It's sort of that scene totally reminded me of the battles for at Helm's Deep. It's sort of like, oh, they're pinned against the wall now, and they're all coming. All these orcs are coming in. Better get ready. And all of a sudden, at the this first light, look to the east, and then you see like Gandalf. Like it's exactly the same. It's like they literally a MacGuffin just comes and they basically kill all the orcs. And then you see Adar running away, and I guess like he ends up handing the what's it called, the sword hilt to the older gentleman. And when it's funny is because Theo is like, oh, the only reason why I would feel very empowered is if I had the hilt. And then at the end, when they quote unquote took back the hilt, and with Edendir, it's like, here you go, here's the hilt. This is literally the one ring. In our TV show. So here's the hilt, and then. It's funny is like they never once thought about like, hey, I'm gonna open this up to make sure this is the hilt, and then here you go, little boy, and he opens it as an axe. It's like, of course they're gonna swap it, and it obviously looks smaller. I'm pretty sure it's a lot less heavy, is because it's a tiny axe, and then the dumbest scene which I knew was gonna happen happens, right? The old dude basically goes back to the watchtower, which I guess the elves were stationed there. Like we're not sure why Erendir and the other elves were stationed at that at the tower, and I guess like in the last episode, like they opened a little shrub and they see like the Sauron mask kind of thing in the keyhole, and they put it in, and of course, Mount Doom basically blows up, and it's like, oh crap, there's Mount Doom. It's man,
That's
but
fascinating.
yeah,
that scene too. Going back to Arondir giving Theo the hilt. Isn't that kind of like? Isn't that so counterintuitive? Like, example, you have a friend who's like addicted to cocaine, something like that. It's like, okay, here's what I'll do. I'll give you the cocaine, and you have to get rid of it yourself. Is that really the best? Is that really the best way to treat him? Is that really the best way? It's fun. Your solution is to actually give it to him right in front of him and hoping for him to get rid of it. It's like, what kind of a friend are you to actually do that to someone you know? It's like, I found that so weird too. Then also backtracking to before Galadriel and the Numenorians arrive. Back to the okay, after Arondir kills some orcs in the watchtower and flees back to the village. So right there, okay, we need to prepare. We have to fight. We have apparently they have the higher ground as they claim it. Then but I find it so weird, even in the perspective of Arondir, like the first wave of orcs, right? They were like they were very prepared for the first wave, obviously, because they had the advantage of surprise. They had the element of surprise. So like Bronwyn miraculously kills an orc by herself for no apparent reason. So they trap the first wave of orcs within the village because they've set up a blockade when they arrive in the village with the one on the upper side and one on the lower side. They set the carts on fire. Then the archers, the villagers came out of the rooftops and started shooting the orcs that were trapped. So they were like, yes, we did it. It didn't occur to them that some of them would be the villagers that defected to the other side. Why?
It's weird. Yeah, like for me, I'm just like, you would have known. It's because like they won't sound like the villagers, and that most likely the villagers aren't going to be as I don't know, as tall or as strong, or even like they look different, but they're trying to make it seem like, oh, like a dramatic moment. You actually killed your own kind and stuff like that.
It's like it was only revealed after they all died. Like Arondir saw the helmet. It's not an orc. It's a villager. It's a villager. Then what makes it all the more baffling is Arondir, who's apparently this 200 plus years experienced warrior. It's not over. That's such a small wave of orc units, and Adar wasn't even there. Why were they cheering so hardly that it's over and they won, knowing that there's gonna be far more approaching already with Adar behind them? I don't know. It's like they created like some sort of artificial means. Like it's kind of like, it feels like a filler in that point. Like of course they were gonna lose. What they were it was in such a way that they think that they were winning just because they beat the first wave. I mean, everyone had to know that there's a larger wave coming, and Adar's not there. Yeah, I don't know. It's really dumb.
Yeah,
really stupid.
And I completely forgot that like Adar actually let Arondir go so he can deliver a message or something like that, and I'm like, oh yeah, they actually know one another. Like, yeah, so you should have seen like, okay, where's Adar? He's not here. Like did we completely just beat him? It's like, no, we didn't. And yeah, it's you have that, and then you have, okay, they completely get like, for me, like if I was Adar, I would have came in and basically like started to kill a bunch of people already. It's like, no, we're gonna hold everyone hostage, right? We're gonna hold everyone hostage first, and then we're gonna slowly kill them. Like for me, like we should probably already know that Theo had the hilt. And it's like they should have probably gone after him first, and then maybe, I don't know, like Arondir would have like, okay, the hilt's here. But I wonder if Arondir would have let Theo die, because like he originally didn't want Theo, because it was Theo the one who who's sort of like, oh, I know where the hilt is. It's because I'm a sneaky motherfucker and I know where everything is, right? So he's just like, okay, here it is. So I wonder if they went after Theo first, like if Arendir's like, all right, just let him die because he's gonna hand this shit over. Right? The lives of the many outweigh the lives of few. Screw you, little kid. You're barely alive. You're like what, 12? just kill him. Well, I don't care. I know I've been around for 200 years now. But yeah, it's I would say that another dumb scene is the picture that's on the screen right now. It's like everyone's literally like, okay, the Mount Doom has just erupted, right? And literally you see like fucking like giant like boulders hurling down from the mountains, like crushing people. You actually see one person actually gets crushed by one of them. The houses and the huts that they were all in were getting destroyed. Everyone's panicking, and you even see like Queen Muriel like, hey, everyone, get to safety. I'm gonna get everyone safety. Versus the person that's supposed to be in charge of the whole armada is literally just looking up at the mountain, not doing shit, letting everyone die. I'm like, okay, this is the Galadriel that I don't remember. She's not like this in the book at all. I'm pretty sure she probably is more empathic empathetic towards the villagers or something like that, but over here it just seems like maybe she's so in shock that she fucked up or something, or she failed or something like that. But it's just such a, I'm still not liking her. All right, you have 6 episodes already, you have 2 more episodes and I still hate her. And like for me, I don't think it shouldn't take 6 episodes for me to like a character. That's 6 hours, right? And I feel like this show is gonna be. It's, I believe last time I checked, it's Amazon It has like 3.6 out of 5, which is pretty low. And I'm pretty sure they're putting all their eggs in the basket and knowing that they're completely getting crushed. I believe even like She-Hulk is getting better reviews or better.
Yeah, She-Hulk is getting better.
Can I ask another question?
Yeah.
So how far is Doom from this village, approximately, if you had to guess?
Maybe. All right. If I would have to guess, I would say maybe 25 miles tops.
Okay,
Yeah.
so they'd be at a pyroclastic flow area. I was thinking they weren't playing anything realistic. Like Pompeii was 5 miles away from Vesuvius, and got completely buried. I mean, they would be buried in ash right now. Probably a lot of very bad gases, things like that, and seems like just a few boulders are hitting them.
Let me actually bring up another image of like right as the explosion happens. So let me go ahead and bring up this one right here. But yeah, they're pretty damn close to it. I would say.
Did they at least have a shock wave or any effect?
Yeah, there was a shock.
Yeah, they
wave.
did.
Okay,
They did.
So they're doing a little bit of science in there.
All right. So here's let me see. Go ahead. There it is. So basically, it's basically so it's up on screen right now. She's basically looking up, and all she's seeing is like smoke.
That does not look 25 miles away.
It could be closer. I'm not sure how big Mount Doom is. It could be maybe 5. It could be like Vesuvius in Pompeii. But sort of where the lightning is where the what's it called again? Mount Doom is.
Yeah, they'd be getting some pyroclastic flows there. They'd be buried in 4,000 degree, hot ash at this point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we have a comment in chat say, yeah, you're right. They would have been buried. Yeah,
exactly.
You literally see. So when that old man turns the key, right? He turns the key. What that key does is like opens up like a little hatch, and all these like water starts going in underground, and it goes underground into like the sort of
turns
like where
the steam and blows it.
Yeah, so the steam that comes up and blows this whole thing up. And the crazy thing is, I'm expecting the next episode everyone should be dead. They won't be able to. Like the hot ash will probably melt their skin off, I'm not sure. But the thing is that and then people are gonna bring up, whoa, you saw Frodo and Samwise going up to the mountain and they were fine, but like it didn't erupt.
Didn't erupt, right? Exactly.
But yeah, like it's crazy. I thought this, even though this is probably, I still do not like the show. I would say this episode is probably the most entertaining. Like I wasn't falling asleep or anything. That it's just. I thought a lot of things were very stupid, but yeah. It's I would say maybe under 10, more than 5 maybe. I'm not sure. The mountain is pretty big.
That's kind of funny.
But yeah, Grae, did you see the next, like, did you see what's it called again, like the next episode or anything like that, like
No, I didn't.
Okay. I'm assuming this is where the hot Cheeto scene's coming, right? So if you guys don't know what the hot Cheeto scene is, let me see.
Oh, the picture they showed early on.
Yeah, I believe so. It's basically like she's like encased in like hot Cheeto dust. yeah. Okay, so let me actually bring this up. But yeah, I believe this one is next. So the thing is that if it's that, I'm assuming everyone's dead. Okay, and
yeah, she's covered in ash there completely.
Yeah,
if you look at her closely, she has
Mhm.
volcanic ash. There's looks like about 6 inches of ash everywhere.
Mhm.
Yeah, this is after the volcano. This is definitely after the volcano.
I think in the show it looked as far as Pompeii was from the volcano, if not closer.
Yeah,
maybe.
they'd be dead. There's no way. The heat levels would have just melted
Yeah,
all their flesh off their bones. And the
Man.
sulfuric, all the gases and everything, because it wouldn't just be steam. You'd be getting all sorts of, sulfuric acids and things like that
yes.
coming up.
Yeah,
But
like
it's fantasy, so
if that's the case, I would consider maybe the people from Numenor, because they're like, they're basically like, men, but they live longer. But maybe like at least her and like Arendelle are still alive, like because they're elf and they sustain damage far less than humans and stuff.
Mhm.
So, but like, yeah, like if they don't die just from the sheer heat, like the inhalation of like whatever particulates that's in the air, like may be like, yeah, like you say, volcanic ash, that and soot, that will kill you. So
Mhm.
like you have to have a lot of people who are dead, in my opinion. Like,
Well, I
but
don't see too many people walking around in the background there.
other than that one horse. Well, don't worry, that horse is gonna come back alive and it's gonna be all white, and it's the one that brings Arya to safety. But yeah, I'm still I still do not like her. I would say that I was even though like she's only in like 2 or 3 episodes, that the most the character I like the most is probably Disa. But yeah, I do not like Galadriel. Maybe Sauron, her and Sauron hooking up, and then like maybe he betrays her, and then she's gonna be like, I shouldn't have trusted men all along. I knew you men would be a death of me or something. I don't know. That's how I feel. Like,
Probably.
yeah, it's just like, and it's like, oh, and then maybe she goes back to like the village, and then she finally meets Celeborn, and she finally gets married. Is because he's supposed to be with her during this second age.
Mhm.
But yeah, someone in the chat says she should have been burned to death,
Burned to
but
death.
Galadriel is a superwoman. Yeah, basically. Well, yeah, she probably won't be able to die at all.
Yeah, as I said, I only watched episode 1, not all of
Mhm.
it. I couldn't find any point of empathy I could have with her because she was perfect in everything.
Mhm.
I'll go back to the ice troll fight. She had 15 warriors with her that obviously have been with her for hundreds of years. They fought in the War of the First Age. They were obviously probably the best knights that the elves could send with her, because they're not going to, send her out without a good crew. They got their asses handed to them. No one even got a strike in on the troll. She walks in 6 seconds, didn't look at it, killed it. If you can't have a character who has any area for growth, you can't have an
Exactly.
empathetic attachment to them, because we all have growth in our life. That's why we watch entertainment. How can
Mhm.
we become better people? How can, we have problems that, everything I saw in that was just like, everything I want to do, I can do with no effort. And that just
Mhm.
takes away any ability for you to have any empathy for a character like that. It's like, okay, you have plot armor that will solve any problem you step into. Okay, have fun.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you, right? Like, and if you're trying to show like, okay, illustrate a character who's like a god complex, who's like, I'm always right, I'm never wrong, and then but then that sort of puts you in the realm of like DC, right? You have people who are superhumans that's trying to live a human life, and maybe you have like someone like Wonder Woman. She's pretty much invulnerable to a lot of things. She can't really die, but then like she actually learns how to be a good human being when she gets out of Themyscira. So you actually get to relate with her because she's fish out of water.
And you could
Versus
relate
her,
to her. You could relate to her because they also showed her when she was still young and weak early
yes,
on, where she, doing the trials, and she learned she cheated, so she learned a harsh lesson of you don't get to stand on the podium because you did this, you had this flaw in your character where you thought cheating was possible. If you don't have flaws in your characters, you have no way for them to grow and become better people. And
yeah,
humans just can't empathize with something like that. So sorry,
yeah.
sorry, I interrupted you on that. You had,
Oh
you
no,
had
no,
a
no,
train
no,
of
no,
thought.
no.
No, no, that was valid, very valid. So it's
Yeah.
it's good. It's good.
Yeah, you're 100% on the mark right now. It's like it's like I would say the only thing that she has is cockiness. But the thing is that her cockiness, and then someone's trying to like, hey, saying that your cockiness was actually not right, what you're doing is wrong. And then at the end of the story, the moral of it is she was actually right all along. So
Oof.
and that's
Yeah.
that's not something where like someone could relate to. Oh, I was right, so I should be cocky all the fucking time. So just like if at the end of the story, at the end of the episode or end of the story, you were right all along, then you're not gonna learn anything from that. Maybe I don't know. Maybe the next episode 7, she'd be like, I fucked up,
Yeah,
But the
that's
thing is,
that's what I'm hoping for, a moment of humility, and then second season we can have growth of the character. But from what because I watch stuff on YouTube and all that, and just I haven't seen a single thing where she has shown that she has, and I know she's an elf, but she hasn't showed any aspect of humanity.
Mhm.
It's just I am perfect in everything I do and everything I say, and my actions are perfect. How dare you
Mhm.
question me?
Yeah.
That's a recipe
Yeah.
for failure on a story that you want to bring for 5 years.
Okay, so I have a question. This might sidetrack our conversation, but it still has to do with the realm of Rings of Power. Dave, I
Hmm.
know you are probably the I would say one of the biggest at least from a person that I know, biggest Doctor Who fan.
Hmm.
Did you watch any of the Jodie Whittaker stuff?
I watched probably 4 to 5 episodes, and then I just couldn't take it anymore.
Was
I
she
watched.
exactly like this?
Um, it wasn't exactly like this. Doctor Who has their flaws and all that. It's just I couldn't get into any of the storylines. I couldn't get into any of the companions. I couldn't sit down and write a thesis on why I wasn't able to get into the storylines, but
Mhm.
nothing pulled me in. Nothing made me go, I gotta see the next episode. It was like, well, I'll try to get through this one. I'll try to get through this one. And you just kind of get to the point where it's like, well, I have other things to do. And the ratings, if you look at the ratings collapse on those seasons of Doctor Who, I think a lot of the fans were in the same boat.
Mhm. Yeah,
And I think she would have been a perfectly great doctor if they had writing to back her up. She's a great actress. I've
mhm.
seen her in a
Yeah.
lot of things, on the BBC, and she's a phenomenal actress, but just the writing was atrocious.
Yeah, I think that like for me, I think the reason why I'm watching it is because I have like maybe a glimpse, not a glimpse, but like a glimmer of hope. Hopefully that she gets better. Maybe the next episode she gets better. Like
Hmm.
she completely redeems herself, and I hope that happens. But like as of right now, if the next episode is like I told you I was correct or something like that, maybe. But as of right, I I don't see it. Maybe she lets her guard down after this episode, and then maybe she ends up like getting with Sauron, and maybe that might loosen her up a little bit to make her more of a likable character. But as of right
Hmm.
now, it's she's. I'm just watching it because I'm just like, I like because I just rewatched the trilogy, and the extended one to boot, and it's still really damn good. And
Hmm.
this one just
Mhm.
I don't feel anything just because like you put in some of this stuff like you have the freaking Harfoots the last episode when they're singing the first 5 minutes of the episode saying, "Not all who wander are lost." I'm like, bitch, that's Galadriel's line.
One of the great things about Galadriel in the trilogy and the books, movies, and all that is she basically was a mother figure to the elves. because I'm sure you know this. The Elven rings, they couldn't use them as long as Sauron had the One Ring. Once the
Mhm.
One Ring was lost, they could then use them because they couldn't get controlled by a ring that no one had. So
Mhm.
her ring basically sheltered and protected her entire region. So she was basically their protector. And in the books and in the the Peter Jackson version, she very much was her job to protect these people, and she took it very seriously. That's why she didn't want the One Ring herself, because she knew she would instantly turn and destroy everything she loved.
See, like that. See, I've never read any of the books, so I don't know too much about it. I would
Hmm.
consider myself like a normie, but
Hmm.
I do know a little bit more, probably just like, oh, I remember this character having this, and then like just sort of just have reading online and watching other YouTubers. But like that's like actually very that actually makes sense why she never left, right?
Yeah,
She stayed in
she
Middle Earth.
couldn't. She literally couldn't leave, because when she leaves, the protection goes with her. It's like a bubble of protection around her that makes that area timeless. Like once the One Ring was destroyed, all the three Elven rings lose their
Mhm.
power. So all of that decay that she and the other ring bearers were holding back started, coming in exponentially. So it's like, oh, let's go to the boat. It's over.
That's cool. I actually like that. That I never I don't know much about that at all. Like all I know is just they created this one ring to control all the other rings, like the dwarves and the
Well, it didn't
humans.
just control them; it powered them. It was basically like the nuclear power source for the other rings.
Ah, I
So
see.
when the
Yeah, I
One
didn't know
Ring
that
gets
either.
when the One Ring gets destroyed, they lose all their power,
Ah,
because Sauron had put a lot of his energy into that. Because you have to have something, powering these magic rings.
Mhm.
What's powering them, and it was his power.
That's cool. That's actually really cool. Like a very interesting thing that like I've never known. But yeah, like I we're I'm assuming that this is gonna stretch all the way until like the battle. How many seasons? We have like 5 seasons of this. And I'm assuming this goes all the way to the battle with Gilgalad, Elendil, Isildur, and Elrond, right? Cast the ring into the fire, right? Destroy it. And I think that's where it's gonna go to. So like if we're completely stretching it out, you have to introduce a bunch of other characters, and like I want, like the thing is I'm sticking around because I want to see it happen, right? I want to see how they do it.
Hmm.
Like given the fact that I do not like how the story much, I don't like any of I don't like a lot of the characters. Like it's you could still tell like they spent where all their money went. Like it does look nice, right? Like especially like the orc makeups are actually really well done. But like I want to see when the rings were given to the elves, dwarves, and the humans. I want to see when that happens. I want to see I like I want to see all those like in between happen. But the thing is that am I would have to like suffer through it if it's all gonna be shit the entire time.
But you know that Sauron doesn't make the elf rings, right?
Who is it? Celebrimbor?
Celebrimbor, yeah,
Yeah, Celebrimbor. Yeah.
Celebrimbor basically gets the knowledge from Sauron when he's, pretending he's not Sauron, and he
Mhm.
goes off and he makes them. That's
Yeah.
why the elves were able to not get controlled by him,
Mhm.
because the second the One Ring was done, kind of a red flag went up for them. It's like, oh, there's something evil here. So they
Mhm.
immediately took them off and they hid them all. The humans and the dwarfs didn't have that ability, because those were made directly under Sauron's direct influence. So
Mhm.
the power of the One Ring was hidden from the other rings.
Yeah. So it makes sense. I'm not sure about you, Gray. Like in or Dave. Like even in the first episode, I felt like Celebrimbor had an ulterior motive. Like he's trying to like he really wants this for some reason. And Gray, did you feel any of that?
uh, well, it occurred to me when Gilgalad revealed to Elrond his ulterior motives.
Hmm.
Then, not long after that, Celebrimbor admitted, "Yeah, I knew too." That's when it struck to me, because yeah, it's their writing, it's their lazy writing that got me to
Yeah.
think that, yeah, they mean
Yeah.
they have underlying motives for sure, but Yeah,
Mhm.
it's like it didn't strike me. It's like to the point that I was kind of apathetic about it. Yeah, you have a motive bit. Okay, just tell me later. Then that's it. That's how I felt about it. Just tell me what their plan is later.
So
Yeah.
one of the things that I'm really hoping for is the writers do have some humility and they see the backlash of people who have been fans of this work for 50, 60, 70 years, and they're able to step back from their desires of what story they want to tell and tell a story that is going to be much more encompassing, of everyone's desires of what the show should be.
Mhm.
Not just this is what we're going to tell. And I know they don't have the rights to everything. What they have the rights to the appendix or something like that.
Mhm.
But even with those limited rights, they still can do a story that is more engaging, to the general populace. And it's just sad that they spent 250 million just on this 8 or something like that.
I believe is
Maybe it's 500 million per season. So
Oof.
if you divide that per episode, it's 62.5 million an episode.
Did you guys see the picture of the scene where the townspeople are listening to a speech? And if you look closely, there's like 20 townspeople that have been duplicated about 50 times.
yeah.
Yep. Yep.
Like, wow, I could have done that in Nuke in 20 minutes on my computer at home.
Yeah, it's yeah. When I saw that, I'm like, oh my god, that's awful. That's really bad. Like literally like okay, what we're gonna do? We're just gonna like have you guys sit in like a lazy Susan kind of thing, and a lazy Susan, and then we're just gonna like do like a 3D like a 3D capture of your entire body, and we're just gonna duplicate you multiple times. And yeah, it's like as a person who works in like the entertainment industry and like just on like that, it's I can see you doing that for like hundreds to maybe thousands of people.
Yeah, this
But
was
like
like
you have like
150 extras.
yeah, the
Extras aren't
entire
that expensive.
no, like I was an extra before. We get paid minimum wage, less than minimum wage.
Yeah.
I was an extra on Heroes, and they paid me $8 an hour, and I was there for 8 hours, and all the food they gave us is like this like snack like tiny snacks. Like they didn't give us any food or anything. There's like here's some snacks. You cannot leave the lot. You're basically here. And yeah, extras get paid basically nothing.
Well,
And that's why like
you know what the real payment for extras is, don't you?
no.
Hey, mom and dad, let's go see this movie I'm in.
This
Yeah, and
tiny
literally that's, and the dream as an extra is to get a line so they can then get it on your reel and possibly get into SAG eventually. That's what
yeah
they're going for. I mean,
yeah.
pay is, because they have to pay him. I bet a lot of people do for free if they didn't have to be paid.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So why couldn't they just hire a bunch of extra? Like I'm not sure where they're filming it. I'm pretty sure it's not. It's somewhere. It's probably somewhere in Ireland or something like that. I'm not sure if they're filming in New Zealand or anything. But it's maybe it's just like yeah. We spend all our money on the visual effects, so let's not hire too many extras. We can just
Yeah,
have
but
minimal.
you've seen the behind the scenes on Game of Thrones though. They had like 300 people in some of those shots.
Oh yeah, the Battle of the Bastards, especially like something like that was crazy.
I don't know. I'm really because I love I love Lord of the Rings. I love all the stuff that Tolkien has done. I am so hoping that there is an arc change by the end of book 8 or episode 8.
Mhm.
That there is a reason to watch this stuff, and it's been a slow burn, and we've all been wrong, and it's going to come off, and that's my hope. I really don't want this to fail.
Yeah. I remember I told Grae last week. I'm like, to be honest, like we, as much as content that we when something's bad, like that is gonna have a lot of content that we can make, but like ultimately we don't want anything bad. We just want entertaining stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we just want something that we can just sit back and just watch stuff. But I don't know. So someone in the chat said maybe COVID restrictions, maybe. I don't know. Yeah, go ahead.
But-
Sorry.
I was going to say, it's like in the animation biz, even when our quote unquote enemies at another studio creates, a better show than we've done and all that, that helps the entire industry. The more good content that's out there, the better for everyone. A high tide raises all boats.
Mhm.
The more that there's good content, like let's say Rings of Power does amazingly well, right? They did an amazing show. Everyone's watching it. Just you have all this content. Other studios can go, well, that made $1 billion off their investment. Let's do 5 shows like that. That's how Hollywood works. But if this fails and crashes and burns and loses them over $1 billion, then you're going to see things pulling back like, we don't need Witcher season 3, or we don't need this. Hollywood is very reactive, and they will pull back when they don't think there's a profit margin in front of them.
Yeah, agreed. Hey, one thing I want to ask Grae. Okay, so this scene completely made my wife extremely upset. It's the part where they're on a boat, and I want to see if it made you upset too. But so it's the part when they're on the boat, and then Isildur wakes up in the middle of like the night, right, or in the super early wee mornings, and then he grabs an apple, and he goes up and he eats it, and then he feeds it to the horse, and then he eats the horse bitten apple. And then after that, he walks up to the boat and he throws it out into the ocean.
Yeah, it's kind of strange. It's like, so Isildur, because he was assigned as the horse keep. What was it? Is it called horse keep? Stable boy. I'll just call it stable. Isildur wanted to join the Numenor army so bad, but his dad Elendil didn't want him to. But he does some stuff in the prior episode that leads him to be a part of it. But he was assigned as a stable boy. Mm-hmm. So he goes in the evening where everyone's asleep. He wakes up. He goes to the horse, then gives the horse an apple. I forgot who bit it first. Did he bite it first, or did he? I think he bit it first.
He bit it first. Yes.
He bites the apple first, then gives it to the horse so that the horse can eat the apple too. Mm-hmm. Then he goes up the ship and throws the apple away.
No, but I believe he takes another bite and then he throws
it away.
Why wouldn't he give the whole thing to the horse when he's done with it?
I don't know, but
yeah, exactly.
I made a definitely inappropriate joke to my wife talking about horse paste and stuff like that, and the fact that like the horse ate it and maybe it cured his it cured it and so he had to throw it away. I don't know, but yeah. So what's it called again? I believe there's an article I believe from Business Insider. I'm gonna go ahead and share this, and I guess it's talks about Amazon's Amazon analyst said he fell asleep watching the company's Lord of the Rings of Power TV show, making him even more worried that the 1 billion project may be a bust. Okay, ugh. So this article came out yesterday. So it's really recent, and if you have one other person that's supposed to be like an analyst that works for Amazon that fell asleep, okay. Here's the thing: I fell asleep watching episode 5. I had to watch it twice, which made me upset because I have to waste another hour. But what it says here is Amazon analyst Tom Forte was already concerned about the performance of the company's Lord of the Rings TV show, The Rings of Power. But after he watched several episodes, he became even more worried about the $1 billion project, billion of B. We fell asleep during our first viewings of the episodes 1, 3, and 4, and have not watched episode 5 yet due to the combination of not enjoying the first 4 episodes and busy schedule. Oh, that's not good.
Who in their PR department allowed this article to get out?
Yeah, it's like, holy crap. Like, why would you actually exactly. Why would you let this go out? This is really bad. The show was one of Amazon's biggest ever bets on the original video streaming content. Bezos, the founder of Amazon, demanded that the company come up with an answer for HBO's Game of Thrones mega hit, but so far, Lord of the Rings project has been met with poor user reviews online. HBO's new prequel, House of the Dragon, is performing better. Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. And I have a lot to say about House of the Dragon. Forte said that he was originally hopeful ahead of the show's launch, but has gotten more bearish as the weeks progressed. As of September 28th, recording the Rotten Tomatoes, the show's average critic score was an impressive 84, but its audience score was a lackluster 38, the analyst wrote. Going into the launch, he expected the audience score to start low, as hardcore Tolkien fans were likely to be the first to watch it and likely to be the most critical. Then improve over time as more casual fans got involved, but that didn't happen. Yeah, I believe they were hoping for normies, like hardcore normies, like just to be like, oh yeah, the fact that we're getting more Lord of the Rings related content, this is great. Like we haven't had like the last thing we got was Battle of the Five Armies, and that didn't do. I believe that didn't do really well. But going back, and so we haven't rewatched Battle of the Five Armies, but Kat and I, we watched what's it called again? The journey, the incredible journey, unexpected journey, and Desolation of Smaug. And when we watched that, we're like, in my mind, I was like, perhaps I was too harsh on you. like for me, a lot of people were like, oh, why would the Harfoot sing and stuff like that? Why would they sing? I'm like, oh, maybe because they're like, hey, the dwarves sang in the first Hobbit movie, so why couldn't they sing? But their song, it's, I don't know, it's sort of like a very sad like song that they're singing. It sounds very sad, but the thing is, it at least still felt like a Tolkien film, right? Even though, because it's directed by Peter Jackson, you have the scores and stuff like that. It still felt like you're inside the universe. May it be that you don't see a lot of characters. That's the reason why they probably brought back Legolas. But this one does not feel anything like what I've grown to love. It definitely does feel like fan fiction. So I'm probably let's go ahead and continue this. Nearly 1 month after its September 1st launch, the 5 episodes in an 8-episode season, the audience responses is far worse than initially expected, and it's not improving. We had initially anticipated. In a statement to Insider earlier this week, Amazon said that the series continues to be the most watched show worldwide on Prime Video, breaking all previous records. I think because
do you see the wording on that? The most watched show on Prime Video, not the most watched show currently on anything. You know, I mean, HBO has a show that's doing pretty well.
It's like, but on what has came out like at the same time frame as this show? As of right now, nothing, right? We have the Terminal List that came out a couple months before, and we The Boys was done already. And we don't have another season of Invincible yet. So like what other things does Prime have? Most likely their thing is, okay, we're going to make sure that we're not releasing anything in this time slot between these two time periods or maybe until like, you know, episode 8, and then they're going to announce what's it called again? Was it Jack Ryan or Reacher? Jack Reacher is going to be, I believe they already showed some like some advertisements, but it's they're, of course it's gonna say, they're not gonna say, oh, this, you know, the best thing on you know, so far in the Nielsen statistics. I don't think so.
And I think when they came out with the, you know, they initially said 25 million
sample.
It was sampled.
It
wasn't
sampled.
Sampled is 30 seconds. You know, that's not watch the entire episode with Glee. You know, so they're parsing their words very carefully, I think, on this stuff.
Yeah.
You know, and, they're in dangerous waters, I think. If I had to guess, you know, having seen kind of behind the scenes Hollywood stuff, there's a lot of people's jobs on the line right now. You know, I could see wholesale, you know, layoffs. You know, the show has to continue. They paid for 5 seasons. But I could see Bezos just going, you top tier management, you're all gone. We're building this up from scratch again. Because this is a huge investment on their part. And if this fails, you know, I mean, they're worth a ton. But, you know, this could really impact their entire, you know, entertainment wing.
Oh, man, it's like okay, here, like for me, I want this to succeed. Like even before I saw, like when I saw the promotional videos and stuff like that, which I don't think that girl that says, oh, my girl Galadriel, even though she hasn't seen this yet.
Did you see the follow up on My Girl Galadriel?
Yes.
She hasn't posted a single thing on Rings of Power. She does all, I think it's Harry Potter stuff. Like week in, week out, it's all Harry Potter stuff. Even though there's no Harry Potter going on, really. Yeah, and she's basically talking about Rings of Power, and she's not talking about Rings of Power. She's talking about Harry Potter. And then I believe someone asked her on her live stream. He's like, "Hey, so have you watched the Rings of Power yet?"
Rings of Power, yep.
Oh, Yeah, I haven't watched that because I've been watching House of the Dragon since that came out first, and it's really good. So I'm gonna watch that until the entire Rings of Power comes out, and then I'll binge it.
So
Just
let's see. House of the Dragon takes about 1 hour a week. Let's see how many free hours there are the rest of that week.
Mhm. Those are all absolutely like paid actors.
Oh
They're
yeah.
just like we just hire random
Exactly.
people.
Well,
Mhm.
did you
Amazon
see,
didn't pay enough.
there was some behind the scenes stuff where they showed these impromptu comments where one guy was flicking his hair or something, and they showed the second take where he flicks the other side of his hair. So
Oh,
these impromptu things were very well either scripted, or they said we really like that. Let's get a better take of that.
I see. Yeah,
So
I didn't watch the behind the scenes of that. All I remember was there's a guy peeing while they're like in the back, like the guy who's like literally peeing in the corner as they were walking into the set to do the to either do the interview or something like that.
good symbolism.
But yeah, let's see. Let's go ahead and continue. An Amazon spokesperson previously told Insider that audience reviews on Rotten Tomatoes had been unfairly lowered by the review bombing campaign orchestrated by malicious online actors. This occurs when users intentionally try to lower the movie or show's audience score in bad faith. In the case of The Rings of Power, some fans ridiculed the series for including characters of color. To be honest, I think the reason why people ridiculed it is because it was never in the original writing of Tolkien, right? Like there was like, well, we never had it. It's more their response to that was just like, well, he didn't say there wasn't any. So I think that's about it. To be honest, I don't care what type of person you are, color, skin, religion, race, whatever. I don't care. The writing has to be good. The writing has to be really good, right? So if you're going into it being subpar, and yeah, you probably have a couple of bad actors in there, literally just saying, who are like legitimately like, oh, I don't care about this, this person is black, blah blah blah. Like for me, I just want good shit. I don't care.
One argument that always upsets me about the review bombing argument is the opposite. What about the review buoying? Like, right now on IMDb, they're 46% have given it 5 stars, so it's absolutely perfect in their mind, wouldn't want to change anything, and 30% are 1 stars. So it's like we're gonna attack the 1 stars, but the 5 stars, those are obviously pure, complete love of our show with no hesitation. It's people seeing groups of people they don't like saying, "Oh, this sucks," so I gotta say I love it. And who knows how many of these people are paid?
Yeah, I do know that there in terms of like reviews, like I even know some companies and businesses and who actually pay their employees to give good reviews on either like
on Glassdoor.
yeah on Glassdoor or
Yeah.
for jobs and on like maybe on Yelp or and in this case Rotten Tomatoes and or IMDb. It's just like we need to counter this. We need to counter this narrative saying that it sucks because we spent a shit ton of money on this.
Yep.
And it's just and I believe I went over with Grae last week. Like we actually looked at some of the reviews and all of it says is just like good, oh my god, great, fantastic, love it. There isn't anything that actually pinpoints like details of the shows. Like I really like when this person did this. When this person did this, when this person I really like how when this scene happened, this like without giving too much away, like I really like how this person personifies his characters, emotions, how it looks like exactly how they were in the book. None of that. It's all just good, really great. I'm so glad there's this person now. It's just there's actually no like good reviews on it.
Yeah, you could apply it to any movie basically.
Yeah,
and it holds true. If you could plug in Top Gun into that review, then it's not, in my mind, a legitimate review.
Yeah, absolutely.
So.
But what's it called again? If we work off of Amazon's reported figures of 25 million viewers for the launch of the audience, and an audience of 200 million Prime members who engage with Prime Video, we came up with the following 12.5% big penetration. And or 87.5 lack of interest. So basically, you have about 12% of the people who are watching it. If we marry the audience score and then we get the following 9.5 million viewers liked it and 38% of the 25 million suggesting 4.75 penetration, that's 95.25 did not like it or had no interest in it.
Oof,
he added that the research in the research notes, as much as 95.25% of Prime members may not be happy about paying $20 more per year for Prime because Amazon's content is spending, including Lord of the Rings.
oof.
Oh, man, it's.
So I'll tell you one of the things that frustrates me the most about when I see discussions on shows like this, and there's other things that just we watch and we hate.
Mm-hmm.
When we talk about it, people immediately go, "Oh, you're just trolls. You hate everything." It's like, no, I want it to be good. This is me showing my disappointment. I want to have good stuff to watch. I
Exactly.
want to be able in 20 years go, "Hey, let's watch Rings of Power. That was awesome." Like the Jackson stuff. How many times have you watched that over the last 20 years? I got like 7 full watches on the thing in 20 years. We want good content. It's not like we're just, shitting on it to shit on it. It's like we're hoping people read this stuff and go, "Oh, maybe these, 40 million people have some reasons they don't like what we're doing." But they immediately just go, "Oh, trolls, paid Russians." That type of mentality of, rather than learning from the criticism, they just attack, the people criticizing, which, that's the best way to fail.
Absolutely. So one person in the chat says, but the main complaints are of the whitest character. So what's the excuse now?
I can't disagree with that.
Yep. All right. So Grae, this question's for you. So with Dave and I located in the States, and you and yourself in the Philippines, in your community of where you are you feeling the same that the fans in your area, do you have you noticed when you talk to your friends or family who are watching the show, do they feel the same?
Basically yes, but here people are not really as vocal because like, oh yeah, House of the Dragon is good. I kind of like it. Then Rings of Power, it sucks. I don't like it. It begins and usually begins and ends there. We
Okay.
don't really emphasize it a lot more. We don't talk about it the same way we do the ins and outs of why we don't or we do like it. It's usually just like saying whether overall if we like it, if it's good or bad.
Mhm.
Well, at least in my circle, it's like we don't really talk about it as much.
Mhm.
But based on what I've spoken with some people. It's like they're interested in, because yeah, obviously I advertise this podcast what and with what I'm doing. So
Mhm.
I was inquired by my boss if House of the Dragon is good, but she never asked me about Rings of Power. It's like, yeah, House of the Dragon is good. You can go. She was asking me, is it on HBO? I was like, yes, it's on HBO. But she never asked me about Rings of Power at all. So
So they're condemning it with indifference.
yeah. So it's like I think what happens here is like they read reception there with you guys on the West. Like, okay, apparently people do not like this, or it wasn't highly rated. So I'll look at the ones that actually are. So it's more of like that rather than going into talking it into detail on why it's good or why it's bad.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That makes sense. But speaking on that, we do know that what's pretty good, and especially we know exactly what happens to this character. Let's go ahead and segue onto Andor. So I know that I'm not a big Star Wars fan, as you know, but I'm consider myself a normie in that. Like I don't read any of the books or anything like that, but I am relatively enjoying the show. I would say episode 4 has been relatively for me. I think it's slow, but it's a lot of story building, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and jump right into just talking about that. What do you let's go ahead and start with Dave. What are your thoughts about the show so far and episode 4?
I'm honestly shocked how much I'm enjoying the show. I've probably made it clear earlier that story is all encompassing and important to me. as a background of why story matters so much to me, I've read well over 5,000 sci-fi fantasy novels in my time. So
Wow.
I've pretty much, I'm an
Wow.
introvert, I've pretty much seen every plot line, every character development, but it's nice to see different takes on things. And the thing I love about this show so far, and love might be a little aggressive, but the fact that every scene, every episode, every action of characters is pushing the plot forward. It doesn't feel like there's filler. It doesn't feel like, like as I said, I watched one episode or most of one episode of the other show. It was just chunks thrown in for, hey, we need to describe this thing. It doesn't have anything to do with the rest of it. Whereas in this one, it starts with a tiny little world. We know the entire encompassing world, but his little world. Um, he's trying to find his sister, tiny little world, and it slowly starts pulling out and pulling out and pulling out, throwing in more. Okay, here's where the Empire is. By the end of 4, the Empire has basically said, "You security people, completely incompetent. We're taking over this region now. We're gonna start doing our thing." So there hasn't been any stuff that was just like meaningless. Even stuff that seems small, you felt like there was a reason for it. And one of the people I like watching is the Critical Drinker, and he had a recent discussion. He's great on. If you haven't watched him, he's just absolutely brilliant on story structure. He had a thing about what are scenes, what elements, and I'm not going to try to, you know, crunch down the brilliance he said, but it's like what are scenes? Why are they in a show? How are they pushing the plot along? How are they building your characters? And at first I didn't like, how it was going back in time to, when he was young, doing the whole sister thing, but it starts building up into, you find, oh, that's how he got his mom. That's how everything has a reason in this show. Um, it was like they said, okay, they on the whiteboard. Hollywood's all about whiteboards and sticky notes and coming up with ideas for things. They basically at the left of the whiteboard said, "Here's our world where it starts. Here's our world where it ends. Let's figure out the best way to get there in the most entertaining way." Whereas the other show seems like slap something on the wall, slap something on the wall, slap without a thread going through the whole thing that carries you along and forward. So, that's my take on it. And with episode 4, he's now joining the seed of the rebellion, which is what everyone's kind of interested in. Who loves the original trilogy. So I'll be perfectly honest. I don't even remember this character from when he was in, I think, Rogue One, but I don't need to because he's holding his own within this microcosm of a story and doing a brilliant job. All the acting's good. No one's just thrown in there just to be in there. It's like the bad guys have good bad traits. The character are you do you spoilers and stuff in this, or just assume people have watched? Like, how do you?
For I don't really care too much about spoilers. Like other than like the House of the Dragon, that like I do prefer like not to be spoiled, like for people who read books. But like for this one, we all know where this character lands. Right.
Well, here I'm just going to even go on a side character. The guy who was kind of the OCD officious security leader. The one who started the whole thing. That had
Karn.
I'm horrible with names, so I could probably get Luke's name wrong. He literally within those episodes had an entire character arc.
Yes.
He had his flaws, and now he's in his downfall phase. And I don't know if he's out of the show. I don't know if him going back to mommy's basically kicks him out of the show. But you got to see a very human arc go through his thing, complete hubris. I know what I'm doing. I'm the best. I'm this. And you saw how someone like that can fail and fail badly. And that's the stuff you want in shows. That's the stuff you can empathize. That's the stuff you can go, oh, I know someone like that. It's like, how many people do you know like Galadriel? Once again, I know she's an elf. How many people do you have any of her characteristics? But how many assholes have you worked with who run to HR or who run to the bot? Like I saw this guy steal a pencil, type of person and get kicked down because of it. So I think they're making good decisions all around. I won't say it's masterful, but it's much better than I ever anticipated it was going to be.
Yeah, like
Yeah, true.
I absolutely agree. Like for me, I'm like, oh man, like it's like for me, like I hear people saying it's like boring, it's a slow burn, and then like for me, I'm like, okay, yeah, like I want to see what's next. I want to see what happens next, and episode 3 definitely. Okay, yeah, okay, you have my attention now,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
So let's say if just taking off of like writing, how long did it take me to actually like really get in? Like, okay, I like what's happening. I want to see more. Episode 3 versus the other show, it still hasn't really done it, right? But yeah, so what? How do you feel about it, Grae? Do you feel like like even though at like this past episode, there's nothing much, like there's not a lot of action, there's not a lot of things that happen, but in terms of story, I felt like this episode has a lot of things like that happen, especially with Karn, right?
Yeah. I like how they're structuring this series in such a way that I spend 2 to 3 episodes
Mhm.
building up what's to happen. Then they spend 1 episode to it all plays out. Kind of like episode 3. They spent episode
Mhm.
1 and 2 to build up the characters, getting to know the characters, what's the plan, how the plot ties into what happens in episode 3. So episode 4 is kind of like going back to episode 1. That's how I'm seeing it.
Mhm.
The action will probably play out either in the next episode or in episode 6. So I think for me that is pretty good, pretty
Mhm.
important, especially
Mhm.
getting to know, fleshing out the characters. Um, as Dave mentioned, Karn, I think it's not over. My opinion, it's not over for him because yeah, he's taking a break, I suppose, because he was dismissed from his work. But I get the feeling he's gonna be reinstated back to a certain capacity through the blonde girl. I think her name is Dedra, who's also trying to investigate what happened there. Because like
Mhm.
she's basically the new Karn. Like she's trying to do her job, but politics is getting in the way. So
Do you think he'll learn from this failure?
I think she will do more investigation behind the scenes too, kind of like what
Mhm.
Karn did.
Yeah.
Like she's gonna say, okay, so let's trace back the incident, what happened during the as they were trying to arrest Cassian. So it's like then she finds out that Karn has been dismissed already. My theory is she's gonna try to reach out to him.
That's a good
Like
point. Good point.
yeah, she's gonna try to reach out to him. Like yeah, you were spot on with your investigation, so I want to bring you back. So that's what I think because I kind of like Karn, like him as an actor and him in his writing. I think he's too good
Mhm.
to be cast aside already. It's too early, at least
Oh
in my
yeah.
opinion, it's too early. So that's what I think about that scenario. So yeah, I really like that this Star Wars emphasizes on that because all the other Star Wars film, whether it's a film or a TV series that I watch, it's always like, oh, the Empire is so evil, the Empire is so mean. This is the only Star Wars where you see the political intrigue inside the Empire. Like they're
Mhm.
actually Empire who's actually in it to do their job, to actually do their job without being oppressive, without being corrupt, like what the empire was meant supposed to be, rather than being having too much power, then eventually being really evil,
Yeah,
because this is what
the bureaucrats.
Mhm.
yeah, yeah, exactly. It's like it I like, because that's the reason why I like gray area so much, because it's more immersive, it's more intriguing, rather than someone who's purely good
Yeah.
versus someone who's purely evil. It's been done way too many times already. But
Mhm.
whereas if it's a gray area, it makes it more interesting. It makes me think like, oh yeah, this guy has a point. Oh yeah, this guy's right. Even though they're doing what they're doing ultimately is wrong, it you can see where they're coming from, how they arrived in that conclusion.
Mhm.
That makes it a far more interesting plot, in my opinion. So yeah, Andor is full of that kind of content, which is, I don't mind the slow burn as long as there's that kind of intrigue in the writing, and
Mhm.
they're building it to be something big in the coming episode.
Mhm.
So yeah, I'm on the same boat as David. It took me by surprise. When Phil told me to give it a shot, it's like I was expecting, oh, it's probably just another Star Wars themed TV series that's Empire evil, Jedi good, but apparently no, it's a they took a whole different approach here, which
Right.
yeah, I'm digging it. I'm
Yeah.
really digging
To
it.
me, the evil, the quote unquote evil in this reminds me of kind of Killmonger in Black Panther, where
Mhm.
with his arguments, you can actually go, I kind of see his point a little bit. Whereas
Mhm.
a lot of stuff, evil is just evil. It's like, whoa, ha, 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 type of stuff
Mhm.
where, you can't go, well, yeah, from their viewpoints, they aren't the villains.
Yeah.
It really gives you a nice, delve into their psyche of what they're doing. Particularly, I kind of liked the infighting between the bureaucrats. This is my territory. No, this is my territory. If this was any other Star Wars show, I would expect her to pull out a blaster and shoot the other guy.
Mhm.
For
Yeah,
keeping her from
exactly.
what she wanted. But no, it's within the realms of their bureaucratic, regions. And
Mhm.
we all know people who are doing stuff like that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Within offices, government, all that stuff.
Yeah. I believe Karn is like he like of course a lot of villains, you can say that about a lot of villains, like they believe that they are the good guy, they believe that they are doing the right thing, but absolutely like what Karn is going through is like you see the first episode and he's like, yo, this dude just literally killed two guys, like I need to go
Yeah.
get him. And
Yeah.
he's
From
like,
his view, he's doing the right
Mhm.
thing.
Mhm.
And he's like, he spoke to his superior, he's like, hey, let me go get this guy, and he's like, no, follow orders, say that this happened. And he's like, no, I'm gonna go against my orders, and because this guy needs to be stopped, because
Yep.
who knows how many more people he can kill. And then
Yep.
of course you have people who thinks like him, who's like, you know what, you're right, like we can't have just because it's an order, it's not like a more my moral compass will be completely shattered if I just sit by and do nothing.
Right.
And I
Didn't
actually
you
do feel a little bit bad for him too.
didn't you want a scene between him and his boss after they all got fired? The "I told you so" scene.
Mhm. Yep. Yeah, it's just like, hey, he's like, hey, I didn't do anything, and then the Empire's like, yeah, because you didn't do anything. That's why this shit happened. But
Yeah.
but like, I want to see, like, imagine if he succeeded, right? Imagine he succeeded, and then he's like, I told you so. That's the Galadriel way.
Hmm.
Hey, I told you I was right. Hey,
Yeah, like
moving forward, you should not doubt me.
just
The fact that they didn't do that,
Yep.
yeah,
And
I
he's failed
Mhm.
so spectacularly.
yeah, like
He failed, giving the pep talk. He failed on execution of the mission. He failed, trying to defend himself to the Empire. I mean, it's like every single thing this person who was completely convinced he was Galadriel, failed at every step of the way. So,
yeah.
they've left a lot of room for growth for this character. Assuming he's not just thrown away on the side. Now we're just going to pity him because he's living with his mom now. But
Mhm.
they've left so much room for him to grow and excel. I mean, he could even possibly come over to the rebellion.
I
yeah,
mean,
actually,
You
I'm
know,
seeing that too. Actually, that's what I saw too. Like, eventually, maybe it won't end well for him because I don't remember seeing him in Rogue One. But I see that that's also a possibility in my opinion that he will eventually defect to the Empire. Sorry, to the Rebellion.
do you know if this a one-off season or are they planning multiple seasons as far as you know? Because we
uh,
know the character dies at some
yeah.
point.
I believe Grae, you said that you mentioned that this is supposed to be multiple seasons, right? I'm not. To,
Yeah.
to be
Oh,
honest,
really?
I'm not too sure. Yeah, is it multiple seasons? Do you know? Or we do
Uh.
know that's like what, 10 episodes or something.
Oh, wait. No. I think I was mistaken at the time. I think this is gonna be a regular depending on the performance. 'Cause, yeah, I thought for some reason last time I thought it was gonna be like some sort of mini series, but when I googled it, no, it's just a normal TV series. So hopefully, if it does well, it's gonna have a season two
Yeah,
also, like the
I
pendulum.
where we are right now, I would look forward to a season two. If
Yeah.
we stick on the path we're on, I would wait for that. I'd keep my Disney Plus up and going. This is the stuff I want to support.
Mhm.
Good storytelling.
Yeah. It's just we we the fact that we got like a bunch of the Kathleen Kennedy stuff, and then we're just like, oh no, they what happened, and then you get Mandalorian, you're like, oh, okay, and then you get the Book of Boba Fett, which is basically like Mandalorian again, and then you get what's it called again, the Obi-Wan Kenobi, which I didn't watch, and I heard, I'm not sure, I didn't watch it. Did any of you watch it?
Yeah, I watched it.
What'd you think? I
Yeah,
didn't watch it.
it was okay. There was some really, really, really stupid stuff. Like, I mean, I'm sure you saw the memes about, lightsabering the gate that they could just walk 4 feet and just walked around it,
Mm-hmm.
but they cut it open. I mean, there, there was a lot of stupid things on it, but I have to say I'm a sucker for a good lightsaber fight, and the fight between Obi-Wan and Vader was quite fun. It harkened back to the fight between Ahsoka and Vader
Mm-hmm.
in the Clone Wars. So nothing I would ever watch twice. Like I might watch Andor twice,
Mm-hmm.
at the current rate, but it wasn't horrible.
Yeah, agreed.
Not the most ringing endorsement ever, but
It's sort of like we've got a lot of like bad things already, and then all of a sudden there's something that's like okay, you're like all right, like give me anything that's not trash.
yeah.
And that's how I feel about like a lot of like the MCU stuff that's coming out too. Just like just give me something that's good, and then like multi-world, the madness, the Doctor Strange, multiverse of madness. That one was like okay, that one's not bad, and then you get Spider-Man No Way Home, and you're like okay, all right, this is good because even though that's not really MCU, it is it's done by Sony, but it's still okay. This is good, and then you sort of get stuff that's coming out with Miss Marvel and what's it called again? She-Hulk. It's just
And then you get Ryan Reynolds doing that Deadpool 3 commercial that
yeah
excited 90% of the
yeah
speaking
That-
world.
yeah.
That was so well done.
If they don't screw that up, they could easily make 1.5 billion. I think easily. If they keep it if they keep it in the sorry to go way off track.
Oh
but
no.
It's fine. It's fine.
2 years out, I'm literally already excited about it. I know nothing about it. I
Mhm.
don't know, any of the plot line, but just that trailer, those characters on screen together has excited me.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Unlike anything
Definitely.
else Marvel has done in probably 5 years.
Yeah, and that's how I feel about Andor. Like Mandalorian's good. Don't get me wrong, but the thing is that like it's sort of like I don't want to say it's like DC or like when Marvel was under Fox, but well like the X-Men stuff. It's just sort of like you get a hit or a miss, right? And then whenever there's a hit, you're like oh thank God, and then when it's a miss, you're like oh no not this shit again. And it's just right now like with the whole thing I'm not sure. I really do hope that Kathleen Kennedy sort of gives the reign to Jon Favreau and just like make it good, like we just want something good, like put in whatever character you like, like and it just make it good, make it entertaining. And I believe this is sort of like if I could feel like this is gonna crescendo to something like really good. At least that's what I hope. I'm always hoping for something to like just get really good and it's like oh my god, this is what I'm waiting for. It's sort of like when you watched Rogue One, you're like okay cool, Donnie Yen is great, was it her name Jen Erso? um sure, and then you have a bunch of other characters, and then you get at the ending scene of Rogue One, which that's like the best part, like when you saw fucking Darth Vader completely destroying like 50 people left and right, and you're like oh my god, this is so fucking sick. And that's what I hope this show becomes, like maybe the episode 10 or episode 9, like in Game of Thrones the episode 9 is always going to be the best hype episode. I hope something like this happens for this season.
Do you happen to know the time frame of this? Like how much earlier than A New Hope is this? Do you know?
No, I do not. I would say this could be maybe like maybe a year or two before Rogue One. Maybe, I don't know, because Rogue One literally happens like a couple days before New Hope, right?
It seems, but the rebellion would have to build up a lot.
I
Mon
would think a couple
Mothma
of years.
They haven't really even built a structure yet. They're still in the subterfuge spy thing. They're they're probably going to succeed. I don't want to spoilers, but what they're planning for the episode 4, they're probably going to succeed on that, and that will help fund the core. Because remember what they were talking about in the gallery, we don't have money for this. Well, you have 8 people about to get a lot of money.
Yeah.
So
I do like the what's it called again? You're having like the quote unquote rebellion spy inside of like the Empire. You know, you have one that's like I'm not sure the female that's in all white. Is she a part of the Senate?
Mon Mothma. Her name is Mon Mothma.
She
Mon
was
Mothma.
big. She was big in the original trilogy. She's been big throughout the entire stuff. She was. Do you remember? I believe. Oh God, it's been years. Empire. I think she's talking to the troops. Maybe it was
Oh, she's the female. The
New
only
Hope. Yeah,
female.
she was. She was the senator who was basically. Maybe it was New Hope. Basically describe. No, yeah, she's New Hope describing all the deaths
plans,
that
right?
to get these plans and all that. That's her.
Okay. So with that, then yeah, like I love the fact that we have someone on the inside, but like she's like, oh, I being like people are watching me, like
Watching
a hawk,
me.
you know?
Watching me. Yeah.
You know, like she's literally in the belly of the beast, and like she's literally so close to all these like you said, like you mentioned earlier, like bureaucrats, these people who are actually in power, and like the fact that she's like, wait, like you didn't tell me this was happening. I'm not sure if that's like her husband or something, but it's like
her husband.
it's like you need to tell me all these shit that's happening, right? It's because I don't know. You can't just surprise me with all these things, and it's just like you could tell like she's completely stressed out. It's like holy crap, like I need like even though yes, like I'm living the glamorous life and shit like that, but I literally need to watch my back all the fucking time. And like I mentioned to Kat, I'm just like this. Yeah, even though this episode not much happens, there's a lot of character building. Like
Right.
I can see like. I can see like, okay, you know, you have the Archmaester, right? Like he's basically like, hey, this shit's gonna be happening and stuff, and then you see her character, and then you see Cassie, and he's like he shaves and he goes and he meets all these other characters. Like I really for me, nothing needs to happen. Like it doesn't have to have any like big like explosions or like set pieces. Just give me good story and good interactions between characters, and you have me hooked. And I think that's what the show is doing. It's it like it's sort of like you can have like 2 episodes of just like exhibition talking and then big payoff in like, you know, and maybe episode, I don't know, episode 5 or 6 or something, that you have something huge that happens. Like it doesn't need to be like a spectacle every time. Like, and that's what Game of Thrones does really well.
Yes.
One of the things I'm really liking is how smart the writing is so far. Do you know the group that Cassian has just joined? Do you know what that actually is? In real world human terms, what that would be called?
I don't know, insurrection.
That's a terror cell.
Okay.
Because they don't know who's above them. They don't know who's giving any orders, so they can't betray anyone. That is literally how a terror cell is built. And to the Empire, they are terrorists. So they've really built that with a very smart way of, you know, it's like if they all get captured and tortured, you know, we got those little torture drones. Who could they say is doing this? You know, even the leader of the terror cell probably doesn't really know who the person is giving her orders. You know, she knows he's this, you know, Jedi looking guy, probably doesn't know he, you know, lives on Coruscant and has his other stuff.
Yeah.
So he's her handler, basically.
Mm-hmm.
So they're really doing some real world, you know, spy shit going on here. It's really cool.
Yeah. I'm definitely looking forward to the next episode. This show's one of those surprising ones. I'm like, okay, it's interesting, and I do like the bigger guy. I forgot his name. The bigger guy that's next to Karn right now on up on the screen. I actually really like him.
Yeah. He's also he's also a good actor.
Yeah, I like him a lot. He's like the very gung ho, like yes, you know, like
the Irish thug.
Yeah,
Linus Moss.
Okay.
Yeah, he did a really good job.
Yeah.
He would play a great prison guard in any movie ever.
Oh yeah. I would say after this, like he will probably get like a ton of like jobs and stuff like that, doing that kind of stuff. But he's great. Do you know what? On a side note, do you know what crazy thing that when I saw these troops or these guards in their uniform, it sort of sparked a sort of a flashback. Did I ever tell you that I worked at Disneyland back in 2008?
Star Tours?
Yeah, I worked on Star Tours.
I'm guessing. Yeah, these look like Star Tour people.
Yeah, so let me actually show you. So you see what's on screen right now, and let me show you the actual Star Tours outfit I wore.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about it until you said Star or Disney. It's like, oh yeah.
Yeah, so that is the outfit. That's the outfit I wore at work. Yeah.
Oh,
So
that's funny.
when I saw that, I'm like, this looks very similar. We have the same color scheme. Majority is blue, a little bit of orange. I'm like, this looks really similar to the stuff I wore to work every day.
You know, design in Hollywood isn't in a vacuum. Someone might have said, "Hey, you want to do this fun tie-in that people might notice?"
Mm-hmm.
You know, Hollywood loves Easter eggs. They love it because what Easter eggs do is they cause extra discussion on Reddit or different websites.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you can get something that someone can go, look what I found. It's like when I was on Rick and Morty, the stuff we would hide in there would make more splash on the internet than the actual shows themselves. It
Oh,
was really cool.
that's awesome, man. All right, man. I'm looking forward to the next episode. I usually for these shows I tend not to watch any of like the teaser of the next episode is because I do want to get shocked. May it be if it's a show that I like or don't like, I want to get surprised by it.
I agree.
But in terms of the the Rings of Power, we already sort of know what's going to happen because of the whole scene where she's covered in Cheeto dust. But now let's go ahead and jump to House of the Dragon episode 6, where there was the big was that 10-year time jump?
Yeah.
Was that the case?
I already missed the two younger actresses. They were so good.
Yeah,
the new ones are good, but it's just
the new ones are good, but
it's a bummer.
They're not as good as the kids.
Yeah.
All right, so man, okay, so originally, when I was like, oh man, they're gonna switch up the actors that are gonna be playing Alicent and Rhaenyra, I was originally like bummed out because I like Alicent and I especially like Rhaenyra, and originally I did not like some of how they looked in some of the promos, but then when I saw them act, I'm like, okay, all right, like. You changed my mind for sure. Like these characters are actually really good at what they did.
Yep.
And but yeah, what are your thoughts on this past episode? Like holy crap, this episode was really good. Like I really like this episode. You can completely see like Kristen Cole went like a 180 for like Rhaenyra.
Yes,
it's crazy. What are your thoughts, Grae?
Yeah, it's really good. It's like oh crap. I think the cast doubled in size. It's like, holy wow, so many children, my god. It's like in the beginning, it's like, who's this kid? Who's this kid? We didn't even know
how inbred they all look.
Yeah. Who's like, okay, I need to find out the name of this kid because like they didn't even mention the name first. Like Aemon, the second kid, like he was never even mentioned in the prior episodes. Only that he existed because Alicent was also pregnant when Aegon celebrated his second birthday. We only get to see the second kid now who doesn't have the dragon. Yeah, that's gonna play a big role later on for sure. Excited for that because for sure his rationality or the choices he's gonna make is based on that decision. Especially given his older brother is mocking him that he doesn't have one. Like they brought out a pig placed with wings. That's your dragon.
That won't come back to bite anyone of harassing someone who might get a dragon in the future.
Yeah, like for me, I thought that was fucked up. Like especially like for me, I'm considered in terms of my my original three, right? Like so it's my older sister, myself, and then my younger brother. I do have a younger brother, but that's from a different my mother married someone else and had my younger brother. But I would consider myself a middle child, and usually in terms of that, you have the oldest child gets like majority of like the first like the good stuff, right? And then and it's like the first child's usually like babied more or more like taken care of is because the parents don't know what to do. This is the first child, they don't know what to do, so they want to make sure they raise it correctly. The second child, on the other hand, the parents like I already went through this, I already know what to do, and you're gonna have all the hand-me-downs, all the leftovers. No one fucking really cares about you. And then the last child, which is the baby, that one gets spoiled. So
because the parents now have money, you know, because as they've progressed in their careers.
It's so the crazy thing is like I felt exactly like how Aemon felt because like my older sister, she got a new car, and then I was told that like everyone in the family, all the boys in the family gets a used like beat up cars because boys tend to get into more car accidents than girls, and they want the girls to have a more secure vessel when they're driving, like a newer up-to-date stuff. That was all agreed upon. So I got like a really crappy car when I turned 18, And then my brother, who's a year younger than me, got a new car, and I'm like, what the fuck?
Oh,
So
okay.
I'm like, how's this fair? You know, like you set this, but you completely went 180 with this. It's like you set this, and then so I'm not gonna get one. Like, so like I was extremely pissed off. So when this happened to Eamon, I felt his sadness and how he felt betrayed, and the fact that the people who actually did this is his family.
Yeah.
So I completely related to this, but man, it's that scene, Grae, it hurt. It stung a little bit.
Yeah, it's the middle child syndrome for sure.
Yeah.
That's why. Yeah, I'm kind of digging that too. There's a lot of things happened this episode.
I'm the youngest. I got all the goodies.
Yeah.
But man, it's I do hope what Aemon's his sort of arc goes is, do you remember the scene where like Tyrion went down to the crypt and like where they kept all the dragons, and he sort of did the How to Train Your Dragon thing where he touches one of the dragons.
Lay on hands.
Yeah. And I know that like I'm pretty sure they have a bunch of other dragons down there, maybe, I'm not sure. But I thought that like, well, at least I hope that he goes down there and gets one, in my opinion. Like he has to. Like he
Well, but aren't they all taking, aren't they all quote unquote owned? I don't think there's any free range dragons down there.
No. Yeah, go ahead, Grae. Go ahead.
Yeah. So there was a scene not long afterwards after Aemon was mocked. He actually went down there. Do you remember? He actually went down there. He went down there to check on.
Chased out.
Yeah, he got chased out by the dragon. It's like he was trying to. He was looking for a dragon there. Like, oh, there's a dragon here. So he was trying to approach it, but the dragon breathed fire right away to him. So he ran back up. Then he got caught by one of the guards. Then the guards brought him to Alicent. That's how Aemon told Alicent the story that my big brother and Rhaenyra's son were mocking me that I don't have a dragon. That's how it came to be. That's how Alicent found out about it. Alicent. That's how it went. Then
the next scene it sort of goes to where Alicent goes to his.
Yeah, they didn't need that scene in there. Although I guess it kind of shows just how depraved the kids are.
Yeah.
They are. I mean, I think this is one of the books I haven't read. I think. I mean, remember, I think they said on Game of Thrones that you either have a saint or a murderer every other Targaryen. So I think we're seeing a couple murderers here.
Oh yeah.
Just absolute sociopaths. He's basically doing what's the guy from The Boys who did the same thing on the building?
Homelander?
Yeah, Homelander. Remember he did that at the end of season 2?
Yeah. He was literally masturbating on top of the tower.
Flashbacks.
It's good. Actually, the first child, they're the strictest. The second, abandoned. The last is baby. I would say that the strictest, but they're also like coddled the most too, is because it was their first. But yeah.
Especially for Aemon, you can see that he's the spoiled one of the bunch. Especially given that scene, when he was masturbating. And Alicent was like, Alicent being more mature, being actually more like his dad. So it's like, what happened to her 2 episodes back, she's doing it now to her son in this scene. Like, remember Otto Tower telling her, because you sided with Rhaenyra, you are in danger. You and your children are in danger. So it's the scene is the same thing. It's kind of like the part where Aemon was jacking off in the window. It's like it kind of elaborates how
it's Aegon, right? Is it Aegon?
Aegon, sorry, yeah, Aegon. Yeah. Aemon is the middle child. Aegon was doing it on the window. Alicent was like I think that scene was to show that how tone deaf and out of place he is. So I think that was kind of necessary. So it's like Alicent was holding up to his face, you are a threat. You are gonna die if you don't take things seriously. So it's kind of like reminiscent to Otto to her back when Otto was about to leave.
The crazy thing is that like she wasn't even shocked that he was doing that. It's like that means he does it all the fucking time. I wonder. I'll feel bad for a person who's like literally like downstairs. Like, what the hell is these bird droppings hitting me?
Yeah, so I kind of like show that Allison was the more mature. She's matured the past 10 years. It's like playing the Game of Thrones. Like, you are in danger just because simply because you exist.
Right.
Simply because you exist, you are no matter how incompetent you are, no matter how dumb you are still a threat to the throne. And every chance, the moment that Rhaenyra steps into the throne, you are gonna get killed.
Yeah, it's like a lion pride. The lion, the new lion takes over, kills all the old cubs.
Mm-hmm.
Man.
So, hey Phil, did you watch this episode with Kat at all?
Yes, I did.
What was her reaction to the walk up the stairs? I don't want to give things away too much. At the beginning, after the birth.
Yeah.
Because that I think that whole sequence I think would hit women much more viscerally than we could ever imagine.
Yeah. So like the beginning of the episode starts off like she's giving birth, right? Like Rhaenyra is giving birth.
Yeah.
And the crazy thing is like the queen would like to see the baby, and he's like no, and because she knows like if like we're not sure what she's gonna do with the baby, but she's probably just checking to see is your kid blonde,
Yeah.
And no, all her kids are like brunette. So
with
like,
curly
the
hair.
part where it's just like where she walks out and it's like, here comes the afterbirth, and if you're wearing headphones, you're screwed. It's because you.
Oh yeah, that was not good.
And so you have that, and then of course like she's literally like walking, and then you see her walking up the stairs, like literally like in physical pain. You could tell that she's literally like holding everything in, trying not to look weak in front of her subjects, and potentially like she's going to be queen one day, so she's trying not to look weak. And then the fact that like later on she walks away and there's like a trail of blood.
Yep.
It's just like holy crap. It's just like
I was hunched over, and that could never happen to me. So I can't even imagine, as a woman who's had a child, what that must viscerally just reach into them and just squeeze.
Yeah, it's definitely hard.
Do you know in the mythology of the series, to own a dragon, do you have to be a pure-blood Targaryen to have the white hair? Is she basically limiting her heirs to not being able to ride dragons? Like, have there ever been in the show been dragon owners who didn't have the white hair?
So we do know that. You have the what's it called again? Sir Laenor and Laena was able to ride dragons, but they are half, right? I believe.
Yeah, they're kind. So maybe partially would suffice. I'm not sure either. I'm not sure if how the lore is with regard to the ability to ride a dragon or to tame a dragon.
And they have a somewhat fire resistance, which kind of shocked me when the woman was able to be burned by dragon breath. I thought they had fire resistance. Remember?
I heard not all. Well,
not all.
Somewhere, not everyone is like fire resistant. I believe Viserys, I think
the
that's
one
his
in
name.
Game of Thrones.
Yeah,
the one in Game of Thrones. He died by the melted gold by Khal Drogo. So he wasn't resistant to heat.
Yeah. So
but his sister could stand in a bonfire.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. So it's I think it's random.
So it's plot armor, basically, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
When we need the character to live, they can survive fire. When we want them to die, they don't.
Yeah. What are you guys' thoughts on what happened with Daemon and Laena?
That was sad.
Yeah, I saw it coming with them getting married and having children based on episode 5, because like they were flirting with each other already in the festivities. But I felt that Laena could have been more. That's what I feel. Like I wasn't expecting, just because she failed a birth of a child. I don't know, maybe to her great shame. Like, oh no, I failed to give birth to one of our children, so I want to die. I don't know if that was really their mental state, but yeah, it was kind of sudden that her death was kind of. I was expecting more,
Yeah,
but
she was a
I
great
think
actress.
Yeah, I really liked
yeah,
her.
exactly, yeah.
The
But
thing,
I
the
think
thing. Go.
okay, I think they were setting it up in such a way that they're setting up Damon to be in such a way that it's for him to marry again someone else to get even more power. I think they're setting up Damon to be such a way he's so power hungry that he wants to grab more territory, grab more opportunities every instance they can get. That's why they
Mhm.
had to kill off Lena early. But otherwise, I like Lena. Even it was like sort of she was kind of being like Damon's anchor. Like, I want to go home. My children deserve to be raised back home. But yeah,
Mhm.
Damon
Mhm.
with his absolute thirst for power, he wanted to get Pentos too, since he was taking up on the guy's offer. Like, we'll give you money, we'll give you land as long as you side with us. That's basically his offer.
Right.
So I think it's so means for Damon to go down on that path. That's why they killed Lena. That's what I think.
One thing, another thing about Lena's death is it Lena or Lena? Once again, horrible at names.
I think it's Lena.
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 Once again, I'm not a woman, so I can't put myself directly into that experience, but I just can't imagine a woman carrying the child for 9 months who wants to give birth to it that knows it's probably alive, just not coming out right, to say, okay, I'm dying, it's dying with me. You know,
Yeah.
I know she wanted to die a dragon rider's death, but it's like, wow, you know, that I just can't fathom that happening. You know,
Mhm.
wouldn't you want to give the last essence of who you are a chance and then maybe hop in front of the flame? So
Yeah.
I don't know. As
Like
as I said, not I'll never be in that position, so I can't really judge either way.
I I felt really I like I think like most of you said, like I actually really liked her. Like I'm like, oh, I can't wait to see more of her. You know, like Gray mentioned, like yeah, he she was his anchor, and the fact I'm like, oh no, like I was hoping that she was fireproof, at least a little bit. You know,
Mhm.
like maybe she wouldn't die or something like that. But then the fact that like she died, and you can tell like was it Vagar, which is like with the girthiest dragon, like he was like, I don't want to do this, you know, like I don't
Mhm.
want to burn you. You're my owner, you know, like and it's just man, it was sort of heartbreaking, like seeing that. I'm just like, oh, that sucks. That definitely sucks. And it's and then like you can tell that Damon, like even though he didn't say a word, like just on Matt Smith's face, like you can see like he's in pain. He's like
Mhm.
like this is the person that I actually like. I'm not sure if I'm pretty sure he loved her. And like this is the person I loved. I had kids with her, and like this sucks. This fucking sucks. You know, like and it's it's such a crazy episode. And then you have it's just like her kids seeing like what happened, and it's just like no, and like I was just hoping with a glimmer of chance that might survive.
Right.
So we have someone in chat says, yes, I didn't understand why she sacrificed herself to end her unborn child. At first, I thought maybe she stepped into somehow to help her unborn child. Overall, I didn't understand that decision. Yeah,
Yep.
I definitely don't either. Like I know that most and most mothers from at least from TV and stuff like that, and they if they would rather sacrifice themselves and have the unborn child live
Yeah.
Yes.
than that. Like
That's why I
at least
said
from my
I just couldn't understand that. I'll never be able to get myself into that mindset because it's something that
Mhm,
I never even have to think about in my life.
Yeah.
But from
mhm.
everything I know about the animal kingdom, it's like there's such a protective instinct for most people. It was like, as I said, I agree. I was thinking, oh, she's going to burn herself away, but maybe in Euro the baby's alive and on the ground or something like that. And it was like
Mhm.
when they showed the burning skeletons, like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
not so
Completely
much.
burnt. No. Yeah. So I think I think it was not an easy decision for the showrunners to do something like that because yeah, as I said earlier, I the best reason that I could think of is they're trying to build to set Damon to a particular path to a power hungry path. That's why they had to get rid of her early. I think they found this as a means to do so.
In some respects, it's kind of cheap also because they already killed someone off like that to do the exact same type of kill off, but maybe they're saying, she was able to take herself out on her own terms rather than a man's terms. Saying, she didn't want to wait for Damon to say cut her open. She wanted to go out on her own terms. So I could see that, but to have two characters, and I know childbirth before hospitals and all that was very dangerous.
Mhm.
Just two very well cared for, very well fed, for the time people having that happen to. It's just it bends credulity a little bit.
Yeah. It's what's it called again? Like for me, I'm just thinking about they don't have modern medicine. Like the only thing that I can see them having is like, oh, bring the milk of the puppy, and like that can like ease the pain. But it's just
how
like,
often is a breech birth like that though? In the human population,
from according to what I know, I believe it's like 25%.
Oh, really? Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe it's valid then. Maybe it's valid.
Yeah. So and the thing is that like of course like with like modern medicine and like knowing like the patterns of like giving birth and stuff like that, like the woman will have to like usually do like specific stretches, like sort of like have their stomach hang to make sure like the baby flips, right? Like I recently have to like go through that to make sure like the baby is flipped. And we like I was nervous, like I was nervous, like I was like, oh man, like what happens if like the baby is breached, we have to get a C-section, which is it's fine with modern medicine with whole stitching, and you won't your majority of the time you're either numbed or asleep during that time. But back then they didn't have any of that, so it's just
they just didn't survive it.
Yeah. But yeah, man, it's like, and the thing is that this is only like two parts of like what's happening with the show. Like we still have a bunch of stuff like.
But those are the things that really lock into your brain, though. Those are the ones that they seared into your head.
Yeah, for sure. I do. What are your guys' thoughts on the how Allison's characters changed alongside with Kristen Cole? Like, do you think do you think Rhaenyra deserved their hatred and their sort of like disgust?
I think to a certain extent, because she has a responsibility to the kingdom. If everyone knows all of her kids are bastards, then even if her reign is relatively strong, she's going to have major conflict when she goes, because everyone's going to know, those kids aren't true Targaryens. They're 50% bastards. So she's really putting herself and her own pleasures well beyond, the interest of the kingdom. And I think the other two are all about, there's, self-interest, but they're much more about, hey, we'd rather not have this whole kingdom devolve into civil war. And they're disgusted every time they see brown curly hair.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I'm actually on as of now. Okay, I'm kind of a team Allison kind of guy. Just give everything that's transpired, because Allison is really watching out for the kingdom as a whole, like what Otto instilled on her, and Kristen Cole, he transitioned to from being the honorable guard to like. I was so shocked when he said like spoiled cunt. Like, whoa, holy shit. Holy shit.
I love that part.
Then Allison was like, okay, sorry, I was out of line. It's like, yeah, you really took that in really badly. So yeah, because Allison was like, people have eyes. People can see that these children are not of. They're as you said, they were bastards. They're not from Laenor, clearly. So this puts us in such a complete this puts the kingdom in jeopardy. It's like she even said it to Viserys, like one or two bastard children is fine, but the third one, it's pretty much an insult at this point. So she's really looking out for the best of the kingdom. Not to mention what we still haven't tackled is Lyonor. the Hand of the King. Like
Oh man.
he cannot already act in the best interests of the kingdom, and yet Viserys probably because he likes Lion or on a personal level, he doesn't want to do the right thing and bring a new Hand of the King. So
Right.
that's why I'm kind of liking where Allison is right now,
Mhm.
considering she's actually acting on the welfare of the kingdom rather than, yeah, she has a personal interest for sure. The same with Kristen Cole, but she's thinking in a more rational way that's for the good of everyone as best as she could. That's why I like Allison and Kristen Cole as of now.
Mhm.
Makes
The
sense.
interesting thing they did from a science perspective, I always go back to reality when my fantasy, is they kind of proved that all the Targaryen features and all that are very recessive genes.
Mhm.
You know, if
Yeah.
100% of her kids don't look like they should, then if we pull up Mendel's old experiments, all the stuff that makes a Targaryen is very recessive, which means they're all ridiculously inbred.
Mhm.
Which you kind of see from the insanity and just the horrible way they look. I mean, it almost looks like they have these weird implants on their heads to make their eyebrows, jut out and stuff like that to make you just discomfort just looking at them.
Yeah. I definitely do like agree with what you said. It's just it's like you the Hand of the King. Yeah, I feel very like sad for him, like bad, is because like he knows he's been put in a tough decision, and the king knows, like I'm pretty sure
Hmm.
he well as no, sure goddamn well knows that, like, I know my grandkids are not full Targaryens, but I'm gonna turn a blind eye is because
He'd have to kill his daughter if he
yeah,
admitted
like
it.
yeah, like she's basically doing all these crazy things, and like for me, I'm like, what would you do if you were to hand it to King? He's like, yeah, I formally resigned. He's like, no, you can't. He's like, oh, what the fuck? Like, what am I supposed to do? And
Well,
then the whole
the
part.
reason he couldn't resign is that's direct double confirmation that his son is doing some really bad things,
Yep.
and it might open the king up to have to formally question what's going on.
Yeah. And that yeah, it's just, he's stuck in a rock and a hard place.
Hmm.
So someone in the chat says
Mhm.
they're emphasizing how dedicated and loyal Allison and Kristen Cole has been to their duties and the well-being of the kingdom.
Yep.
Yeah, I remember Kat, she was basically saying how she how Rhaenyra, it was extremely selfish,
Yes.
and now it's biting her in the ass. It's just like you got yourself into this, like you wanted to do all these things, and this is what you signed up for, and now you're regretting it. It's like, well, you're already fucked up. Like, you're already fucked up. And yeah, so yeah, so she also says, so I understand why the hate towards Rhaenyra. Yeah, I definitely do not like what's happening with Rhaenyra, but it's the thing that she's so deep already, and she's like, I can't go back now.
Do
Like
you see a possible redemption arc for her?
I I think I think there might be a redemption arc, but it doesn't wipe her past like clean, where it's like, okay, I can forgive you for that.
Hmm.
I don't think so. It's because on behalf of her, like, it's just we're not sure what's gonna happen. Like, the fact that she knew that she fucked up and she had to flee to Dragonstone,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah.
If ever there is one for her, it's gonna be too late already. That's because the reason why she fled to Dragonstone is not because she wanted to. It's because she was forced to. Because her
She had a lot
power
of
play,
options.
yeah, her power play in the council, it didn't work because Allison saw right through it. No, you're just
Mhm.
trying to put yourself in a better position. That's it. I'm not
Hmm.
taking it. So it's like, and it's like, oh shoot, okay, it's not gonna work. So it's only gonna get worse if I stay here. That's why, not because she really wanted to go to Dragonstone. So as of now, there's still the redemption arc is still not there. It'll only come to that point if she loses all of her power when she has to beg for mercy. That's
The
how I see it.
the interesting thing with Allison turning down that power play is that power play would have shorn up um, the kingdom to a certain extent, because then you could have the succession, with her son, in the line of succession with the
Yep.
daughter, I'm sorry, her daughter in succession. So she, we talked about how she's all about the kingdom. That would have actually helped situations. So she's setting up that the only way the kingdom survive is if Rhaenyra's line and Rhaenyra are wiped out.
Yeah.
There's no fallback position other than civil war if that doesn't happen.
Yeah, she like I believe Alicent is to be honest, to be honest, like I agree with Grae. Like I'm on Team Alicent and Kristen Cole right now. It's just you're doing this just to cover your ass.
Mhm.
And the thing is that just like once the king dies, like once Viserys is gone, like shit's about to get out. Like all the info and stuff like that saying that your kids are bastards and stuff like that, and it's not the true heir, it's not true, heir to the throne. And we already know that the townsfolk and civilians that live in King's Landing are already like, we shouldn't have a female ruler. We want a king. We don't want a queen. We already have that. And now that you have the fact that, your kids are bastards, it's like that's even worse because that's not the rightful heir to the throne. So that's why everyone was like, yeah, we prefer Aegon.
Yeah, other than the sea snake, does she have any allies at this point? I mean, even hinted at?
I don't think so.
Same.
Alicent has her whole house and all of their allies, because I'm sure, because I don't see Targaryens having allies out of love. It's all out of fear. Whereas Alicent's family probably has, alliances out of love and stuff like that. It's like, who's gonna back her? When this happens, she has all these negatives. Female. They don't want female. I'm fine with it. All bastards as heirs. It's like what would make anyone fight for her side when the Civil War obviously is going to happen?
Yeah, it's pretty nuts. Like
I imagine the dragons will play a big role. Like she's gonna go on a rampage with the dragons, but that's about it for now. Because even Larys is with Alicent. He went really to huge extremes to do it.
Yeah. So okay, so I have a question in regards to like the Hand of the King and what happened to him at the end. So we know that the what's it called again? I forgot his name. What's that?
Littlefinger.
Yeah. So the new Littlefinger basically.
Yeah, Larys.
Yeah. Well, Larys.
How do you remember all these damn names?
I took notes.
Oh, okay. Okay.
That's why.
But we so what's it called again? The Hand of the King has two sons, right? From what I know.
Yeah.
One of them's Littlefinger.
Yeah, one of them's Littlefinger, and the other one is the
baby
bastard
daddy.
father.
Harwin.
Yeah, Harwin, yes. So they both died at the end of the episode, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm. And Alicent's dad's coming back.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's some shit's about to go down in King's Landing for sure.
That's why he executed them with the tongueless people, so that Alicent's dad can come back, and he made sure that she knew he did it for her, so that he owes her a huge favor now, or she owes him a huge favor now.
That was
very well. Basically, if he doesn't get what he wants, he has 3 assassins probably hidden away somewhere. They don't have tongues, but you can teach them how to write, and say, "Oh yeah, this was all Alicent." Yeah. So he's gonna come out. He's doing the Godfather thing. He'll be asking for a favor in the future.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I actually really like that. Like he's literally like the new Littlefinger, but he's more upfront about it a little bit versus Littlefinger. I think Littlefinger is like he's definitely shows like he's like weak, and then he's like, but also like he's doing a lot of like
he was the puppet master.
Yeah. I do like that a lot, and I haven't seen any of the footage or anything like that, but I'm absolutely looking forward to tomorrow's episode. I'm really loving House of the Dragons. Like I believe we're all on the same boat. Like season 8 didn't cut it, and then we're just like, you know what? I don't think this is going to be good.
So you see the thread through all of this, the stuff we like and don't like. Mm-hmm. In Andor and House of the Dragon, things that happen in the show matter. They're not just because we need to fill 5 minutes. if there's a scene happening, if there's an interaction between characters happening, that something's going to come out of it down the road. They actually have an A and a Z on their story plot, and every single thing is pushing them closer to Z. Whereas, the other show just throws shit in there just because, we got a budget and we have some CG artists who can throw some pretty pixels on the screen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was there anything else that that we didn't get to talk about in this episode?
Well, one thing I want to say is I love the fact they hired Matt Smith as Damon, because he's an evil sociopathic bastard, but because he was the Doctor for so long, I always give him the benefit of the doubt. So it's it's like where there's an evil guy, we just expect the evil. I always expect, oh, he's gonna turn around, just because I watched him for multiple years being a good guy. So every time he does something really bad, it like really goes right to the heart. So I think for at least me and probably other fans of the other shows, that was just brilliant casting.
Yeah, I would say Matt Smith is really good. I've seen him be played a bad guy in Terminator Genesis.
We won't discuss that.
Yeah, he was I guess he was supposed to be like this like nanobot like cyberdyne like from the future, and that he was able to infect the John Connor from the future. But he played a very pretty good bad guy, but like he has that look where he could, like, I don't know, he has that specific look where he can actually look very like friendly, but he can also look very cunning at the same time. But yeah, it's good though. I'm definitely loving it.
So
more
two out of three big budget shows on right now don't suck, so that's something.
Yeah.
True. Yeah.
So what's it called again? Damn, we actually talked a good amount, man, but we went through a lot of stuff. But I'm looking forward to it. But a side note, I'm not sure if this is if you guys already heard about this, but I guess this article came out yesterday. It has nothing to do with the stuff we talked about. However, I think it's important nonetheless, is because we were talking about remakes, right? We were talking about remakes and like live action adaptations from anime and stuff like that. So
what are they gonna destroy now?
So according to what I heard, Tarzan is getting a live action adaptation. Tarzan to swing swing again as Sony picks up the movie rights.
Oh, that's fine. There was plenty of Tarzans before Disney took it up.
Yeah, but this is the byline right here. The studio plans to reinvent the character for 21st century.
Uh-oh. I don't like that phrase.
It's like we're going to like we have a bunch of these already. It's like, we're going to redo it for the 21st century. We're going to add in modern day politics into something that does not need to have modern day politics, which is exactly what
billions of dollars does my industry need to spend before they realize they just alienate so many of their potential audiences? If you want to do that, create new characters. I could go on for days about this, but I'd rather not.
Yeah. Like for me, I know that I have a feeling that they might change up definitely a couple of the characters. They might race swap, gender swap mostly some of the characters or something like that. But we'll see. But the thing is that I like the Disney Tarzan. It's like the animation by Glenn Keane and the soundtrack by Phil Collins was great. Like I loved it, and it was a good mixture of 2D and 3D. It actually looked completely 2D. Dave, did you work on that one or no?
That's one of the ones I did not work on that one, but I know about 40 or 50 people who did. One of the guy who created the technology. So remember, he's kind of like surfboarding down the trees, moving his feet back and forth like skateboarding type of thing. Yeah. He created the technology that allowed them to 2D paint on top of 3D art, and I believe he got an Oscar for it.
Yeah,
a technical Oscar.
That's amazing. That's awesome. But I'm gonna go quickly and read this really quick, I guess. Man, I'm so sick and tired of these damn remakes. Tarzan, the classic pulp hero created by Edgar Rice Burroughs, may be heading towards the screen once again. Sony Pictures have picked up the screen rights to the character from Burroughs' estate, Edgar Rice Burroughs Inc., and is seeking to do a total reinvention of the character and the intellectual property. No writer, filmmaker, or producer are attached as the studio's looks for a top-down reimagining of the ape-man for audiences in the time space of the 21st century.
So
Sony
are
had-
they saying he's from what you're reading, are you thinking it's going to be a child is abandoned in the jungle in the 21st century, or they're leaving it, 1800s, but now with the sensibilities of the 21st century? How are you reading that?
I'm reading it as the former, meaning they're going to, I don't know, a person in 2010 did it, and then like their kid grew up, is like 18 now in what's it gonna 2020.
Mm-hmm.
Or like 2030 or something like that. I think that's what's gonna happen. I think they're going to have a modern day, like with technology and everything, and then that's how I read it. What do you guys think?
Be tough not to be able to find a kid in that long, but
Given today's technology.
Yeah.
yeah. Good point.
Yeah. Tarzan's story is well known for the orphan boy raised in the jungle by great apes who falls in love with a young woman named Jane, eventually leaving the jungle for her, marrying her, and moving to England, where his eyes are now open to how barbaric so-called civilization really is, before returning to Africa. Amid all of that, all of the adventures, from besting lions and apes, discovering lost cities abound. I can totally see them gender swapping, like having Tarzan be a female and then having
Jane of the Jungle.
I can totally see that happening. I think of course it's because they have to make modern day storytelling now has to make all the men stupid, right? And they can't have the or they can have it the original way, but because Tarzan is ape, like, and it could be that like he's a fish out of water kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not sure, but I can totally see them like gender swapping characters and stuff. But man, it sucks. It definitely sucks. Stories have proved to be an instant hit, with the first published in this thing came out in 1912. Holy crap.
Yep, Edgar Rice Burroughs, I believe.
Yeah, and for decades made their mark on pop culture via movies, serials, radio shows, TV shows, and comic strips. The heyday of the Lord of the Jungle is seen lasting from 1930 to the 1940s, but Disney's 1999 animated movie was a hit, as were the movie's Phil Collins songs, leading a Broadway adaptation. This century of the character has proven to be a slippery vine for Tarzan. Warner Brothers tried to launch a potential franchise in 2016 with a movie starring Alexander Skarsgård and Margot Robbie that failed to ignite audiences' imagination.
I never even heard of that.
Yeah, me too.
What?
They didn't even say the name of the movie. Is it called Tarzan too?
I don't know. Is Alexander Skarsgård the guy in The Northman?
Oh, I'm not sure. I didn't watch that one.
But man, it sucks. But man, I speaking of the Skarsgårds, on a side note, I had no idea their family is like all over Hollywood. Like I know of Pappy Skarsgård, who's in Andor, and then we have Bill Skarsgård, who plays Pennywise, and then I believe like there's like sisters and other stuff, but just pretty crazy. Part of the reason lies in the changes in Moors. The books are scrutinized for ideas of colonialism, white savior, and racial and gender stereotypes that were widely accepted in the early 20th century, but are not in the current culture. Hence, the studio's desire for a new, reconceived take. The rights deal is also interesting in that Tarzan is an IP that straddles both public and private domains. The earlier stories are squarely in the public domain, but Burroughs wrote adventures into the 1940s, with some of the stories published years after his death in the 1950s. The estate owns Tarzan's trademark. So, I'm not sure how this is going to be. the fact that it's not by Disney sort of makes me happy, but that byline makes me definitely worried about what's going to happen with modern stuff.
Yeah.
Like I hate all of these live action adaptation from the animated series, which is
Yeah. Does Sony
Man,
have a
sucks.
track record of getting into woke or identity politics? I'm not sure. I'm not sure based on the movies they've released recently, or
same.
because if it's because as far as I know, Far From Home was made mostly by Sony, or at least Sony's
Mhm.
contributed that significant, and it's the only post Endgame Marvel movie that was really well received. So
Mhm.
that's the silver lining, that it's Sony who's making this. So,
Yeah.
but then again, I don't know if they have made prior movies or series that's kind of in line with Rings of Power or Obi-Wan.
Did Sony do Ghostbusters, the 2016 one?
Oh, right.
Did they? I'm not
Yeah,
sure.
but this is Hollywood. There's probably no one left at Sony who worked on that.
Yeah,
You know,
true.
they go through their upper
Yeah.
management every few years.
But man, it's definitely sucking. Like it's funny because I was just talking like last week. I was just talking about like how like these remakes need to stop. You know, like stop reinventing the wheel. You know, just how about just like make new stuff
Make new
and just
one. Make a
and just
new
make it
IP.
good.
What's frustrating, and I've talked to a few of the people who worked on them for the Disney live action remakes, is they're fundamentally using these animated masterpieces as storyboard animatics for their live action.
Hmm.
So they're basically bastardizing what could be classics for like the next 100+ years, and just denigrating them down to storyboards. You know, because I mean, think about it. I mean, like Beauty and the Beast, that was almost literally a 1-for-1 remake, just live
Mhm.
action. I other than it making $1 billion, I don't know the reason they would have done it. But the sad thing is, people keep watching this stuff,
Yeah.
so it's just going to keep happening. You know, I'm sure they're delving deep, and eventually they'll do Dark Cauldron. Well, hey, we can do a live action Dark Cauldron.
God, God.
Or sorry,
Who's
Black
the
Cauldron.
Black Cauldron? Who's the monster again? I always forget his name. The demon looking one. I always thought he was really cool.
I haven't seen that in probably 20 years
Ah,
for important reasons. That movie almost destroyed Disney animation.
What? Before we go, why?
It lost so much money. It
Oh, I
basically
see.
shook the faith of management that animation was a moneymaker.
Oh, I see.
And
This is
then
gonna
you
bother me.
you got Ron and John stepping up and doing all their masterpieces. You know,
Mhm.
Little Mermaid starting it.
Ah,
Okay. I see.
but oh man, it sucks. But man, yo, Dave, it was thank you so much for joining us
That was
for the
fun.
podcast. Yeah, it was definitely a treat having you on, and with your knowledge of Game of Thrones, Star Wars, and Lord of the
Lord
Rings.
of the
That
Rings.
Well,
yeah,
hopefully, I
definitely
didn't
helped.
talk too much.
No, it's good. It's
No,
good.
didn't. Fine.
But yeah, it'll be nice to have to have you on again sometimes in the future, or,
Cool.
or whenever you're free. But yeah, thank you so much for coming on. I really
It was a
appreciate
pleasure.
it.
Thanks for having me. It was a pleasure meeting you. It's Grae, right?
Yeah, great.
Pleasure meeting you, Grae.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right, so
Same.
all right, so we're gonna call it there. So yeah, so what's it called again? Dave, do you have any any socials or anything that you want to shout out, or you don't use the internet much?
I have no pages for people to go to. All of my creative stuff goes up on the big screen or the little screen, not the internet screen.
Well, yeah, but if you guys are interested, you can search up Dave on Dave Scarpitti on IMDb. He's there. But so Grae, you want to shout out your socials and stuff?
Yeah. So I'll be live stream probably in a bit actually after this. But on
Sweet.
Twitch, twitch.tv/Grayblade. It's same as my username right here. Yeah, I'll be streaming Valkyrie Elysium. Please do not get that game. Do not even try it for free when it comes out in the Sony subscription, which I'm sure it will. It is terrible. My God, it is so terrible. So yeah, because of how bad it is, I think my The Last of Us 2 review can be expedited very much more compared to my projection. And yeah, that's about it. Then I'll have a YouTube channel content very soon. I'll probably drop a review on this game as well. Yeah, that's about it. Thank you.
All right, cool. And you can follow me on Mr. Phillip Chan, both on Twitch and on YouTube. And please, if you guys haven't already done so, for everyone who's watching, please go ahead and like, share, and subscribe to our channel. We're definitely coming up on what's it called again, with more videos and stuff. And we do try to put out some segmented portions so y'all can watch it in a bite-sized format. But thank you guys so much. I really appreciate each and every one. And thank you so much again, Dave and Grae, for the knowledge and hanging out. And definitely we'll be back next Saturday with more Rings of Power stuff and House of the Dragon. And with that, hope you guys enjoyed the stream, and we'll catch you guys in the next one. All right, bye.
See ya.
Pleasure. Have a good one. I'm waving.